Hey guys, this is Brad from Dallas Geek, and I'm here with
Mike,
Kylo,
Chris,
Erica, Lars.
Nice. And so
the camera can't see me, Brad.
So we are a little bit later than originally expected, but we're good now.
And whose fault is that?
Yours.
I'll take this one.
I was looking at Mike.
And of course, the cat decided to try to get involved.
Who would have had to just chase the cat off?
Oh, that would be my lovely wife, who is right here off screen. But
being antisocial, apparently.
Can I just say that her shirt is really cool? I love her. Can we show that real quick?
Yes. You want to get on camera real quick to show off your shirt?
I've got to stop encouraging that kind of behavior.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. And whatnot. That's
So yes, we are doing real well. So this is obviously New Year's Eve. We're going to be having a little bit of fun. And of course, the big thing here is that we're going to be answering some random questions that we came up with before, answering any of your questions that you have as we go.
Wait.
And
Were we
then
supposed to write the questions down?
Already did.
Oh, God.
And good job.
Someone's organized.
Very good. And then, of course, wrap this up with a round or two of Cards Against Humanity, because how else to end the year, right?
Strip poker.
Right.
So, to start with, just a really quick question for everybody. What has been y'all's favorite part of 2018?
IckyCon.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's new, so it's fresh on the mind.
Nice.
Never used to have a gnat, that is also correct. But IckyCon.
Nice. So,
And I thought about it pretty hard.
why EVCon?
There's a lot of reasons. Do we want to get into that right now? Do we want to ask
Point
the
of the
questions first?
Let's go for the
It's a loaded question.
Can you
the
spark
couple
note
point
it?
highlights, and we'll get into it a bit more in a bit.
Just they really, I got to meet some really awesome cosplayers, and not just their social base popularity, but like from a skill point of view. I learned some really awesome things. I've been to some panels before where it was cool to get to know the cosplayer, but I don't know that I really, picked up new things from it per se. But these cosplayers were just really intelligible. They were really helpful, and they were just really awesome. So Stefan Schweetz, it was really awesome meeting her. I hadn't heard of her before IckyCon, and she was just really, really sweet, and she did some really awesome panels about professionalism in cosplay and really relating it more to a job and things that maybe you didn't think about because you took it kind of informal because you have been going to cons for fun before. Mm-hmm. So when you transfer into being a guest, maybe some things you didn't think about. So that was really awesome. Carl Martin, just a really awesome prop maker, and so he went from cosplay into making props for movies and things. So it was really awesome to get to talk to him, get to know him. They also had some really funny panels, and like I said, they were just all really personable. I got to meet a lot of really awesome voice actors, and Greg Ayers, just an awesome dude, and hearing his backstory and how Monica Rial had gotten him into voice acting, and his first audition for voice acting was actually just his voicemail at work. Because they said, we need the voice of a 12-year-old boy for this show, and we don't know that we have somebody for it just yet. And she said, I've got the perfect person. And they said, okay, do you have a number that we can call? And she said, oh yeah, you just gotta listen to his voicemail. And they called in, and he sounded like a 12-year-old boy, and that's just Greg Ayers. Like, his voice just naturally, he sounds very young. So that was really trippy to hear all of his stories and stuff, and he was just like a really, really sweet guy. So getting to meet all those people was just an awesome weekend. And then there were some people that I got to hang out with that I've just never gotten to hang out with before. Kawaii Bro Cosplay, super awesome, super fun dude. He really brings all the social butterflies of the con together. So that was cool. And the hotel was really awesome about gatherings and letting people hang out. And there was one room that I think we visited like over a dozen times throughout the con, because we would just different people throughout the day would be like, are you gonna go to 537 to party? And we're like, how are you yet another person we haven't ever even seen there inviting us back to the room we've already been to 20 times? So it was really cool that they were just cool with it. So, but yeah, just the community there was really awesome.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Anybody else? Favorite parts of 2018?
There was a couple of good cons. Like I went out to Hub City. They're actually a great group of people too. They took care of like everybody. They're very attentive to all the guests. All the volunteers are super happy. It's all about the smaller cons. I've learned to enjoy the smaller ones a lot more than the ones that are huge or overloaded with vendors, because a lot of people get lost in those crowds and you lose that one-on-one interaction in those moments. So like that's awesome to hear about that con, because you always kind of look for those cons where you can have that one-on-one interactions with the guests that are there. Like everybody wants to have that. So I liked Hub City, and then of course AllCon was still good as always. Took care of everybody. And Let's Play Gaming Expo was another one that actually caught me by surprise. That was actually a brand new one, and they actually did fairly well in my books. So it's one that I would check out more and more too. And they had quite a show, a good turnout too. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, we actually, I think during the opening ceremony at IkiCon, they did the thing where it's everybody sit down if you've been to less than 3 cons, and then they kept going up, and we were at the front.
Yeah.
And so we didn't realize, they were like, everybody who's gone to 20 cons keep standing. And like, we didn't realize that we were the only ones standing still in this huge crowd of people. And they're like, how many cons have you guys been to?
Yeah, and then after they asked us, I was waiting for him to ask the next person that was standing, and I said 34, and he just stared at me, and I was like, is he gonna go to the next person? And I like turned around, and I was like,
there's nobody else.
oh, and then everybody just went crazy. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, the people we could see were like, what's wrong with these people?
Yeah, you see, that's when you know that you really are not just a nerd, but you're a con nerd. Like, that's a whole different class of nerd that the rest of us either aspire to or just don't understand.
Yeah.
That guys really get around.
And he goes, why? And I was like, well, I worked like half of them. And he goes, you want to take the other half by choice?
Yeah, because the other
Why
one
do you say it with such disdain in your voice?
I guess with so many.
What the hell's wrong with you?
And then he just started thanking us.
Why would you
profusely
do that
for
to
supporting
yourself?
conventions. And we were like, yeah.
Whatever works, right?
So that drives home the fact that it was a good con. I mean, it wasn't like we went to like Fan Expo, AllCon, and that one was really good. We went to a lot of cons.
Yeah.
There was only a handful where like I wouldn't care to go back. Like most of them were pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. There were some close ones, but it was just the good quality time that we got with people. And there wasn't a single panel that we wanted to go to that we didn't get to go to. There wasn't a single one. The armor making, but that was only because the autograph signing was supposed to be at 10:30 a.m. on Sunday, but they had to push it back to 12:30 a.m., or 12:30 p.m., which was the same time as an armor building panel. But that is just because the voice actors were up at the rave until 2 a.m. and then went out after that. So when their signing was at 10:30, I looked at the schedule and I said, that's not
That's
gonna
not
happen.
happening.
No, it's
Yeah.
Hey, we made it.
Well, the crazy part was when I was talking to them, I thought that was the reason, and apparently no, it was just some confusion. And I was like, you guys would have been there at 10:30.
That would have been an impressive commitment.
Yeah.
Wow. Kyle?
I went to my first convention this year.
Really?
Remember?
That was your first?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Nice.
So 34, first one. This year. I went to Fan Days and Fan Expo, but that was my first convention this year, so.
Nice. And you got to help us out with both.
Yes.
Which is great, by the way. Thank you so much for that.
Now we just gotta take her to her first 24-hour con.
Oh, that's a whole different experience. I haven't even been able to stay for the full 24 hours, and y'all just seem
Yeah.
fine. I volunteer tribute.
I think we only did like 4,
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 this year.
Yeah, most of them were just daytime cons, but you can't do that on any 24-hour cons. Like,
Yeah. Like it
like
physically
I'm barely alive
impossible.
right now.
I'll do it. I'll do it if I
We'll
do.
get into that more later.
Yeah.
So I'll actually volunteer for this one.
Yeah.
So he keeps giving me crap because the couple of times that we've actually had to do, had to do.
No. You were right the first time. I had to do it and had no choice.
Sorry, we had to. He had to do something that would be remotely clickbaity for the channel. We had conversations that were off the record where one of them he volunteered for and then went back on and yet still ended up doing it, blamed me for it.
Which one are you talking about?
The thing with Heather.
No.
I knew he was talking about
you told me about this.
I brought it up as wouldn't it be cool since she's known for this if we do it like she does a makeup tutorial?
And then I said,
no.
What if it's you that does it? And you're like, I don't know. I mean, I guess that could kind of
No, that
work.
is not how
And
that
then when
works.
it actually came to the
That is
day,
not
you're
how that
like,
went.
wait, I'm volunteered for this? What?
No. What
The
he
word you might
forgets-
be looking for is voluntold, but
What he forgets is that I'm sitting at work one day, and because I have access to our social media accounts, I get alerts on my phone, and it's like, oh, hey, yeah, so we're gonna do this. Mike thinks it'd be a good idea if we do this, so he's gonna go ahead and be your guinea pig. The fuck?
That's
What?
how you learned about it?
Yeah, that's what I found out. Oh, that sounds like a great idea. Awesome, we'll set it up for this time and this time.
Way to go.
Who?
So I'm just gonna chime
Way to
in.
get out
It's
there.
it's not my fault. You did for our conversations, okay? I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna chime in that it does remind me of a time when you said, wouldn't it be cool if we maybe did a stream the night before New Year's?
No, I will take credit for this one. And I'm pretty sure that in that stream,
I
wouldn't it be a
said,
good idea if we started it at 6 p.m.?
What time are we doing this again? I said actress.
He said 6:30. I said we're streaming for 5.5 hours. Question mark. He said no. I said I thought it was a New Year's stream. We're not going to be on here at New Year's. I'm confused.
Well, I figured
Apparently I missed the entire context of
It's
the
fine.
last
Yeah.
days.
I figured, I'd be nice and let everybody actually have a proper midnight for whatever the hell they wanted to do.
All right.
But it's all. Mike, what was your favorite part of the year? And please say it was becoming Ben Beetlejuice.
Against my will. Let me see. Let me think of all the dumb shit that I've done for this show this year.
I mean, that could take a second.
I got a tattoo.
Yep. Although, to be fair,
No, actually,
That one I was willing to do.
that wasn't just for the show.
I was willing
you
to do
wanted
that
to do
one.
that, and then we said let's do it for the show.
Yeah.
And you said why not?
Sure. I got turned into a girl Beetlejuice.
Yep, that was awesome.
God. I got absolutely...
roasted by Charlotte multiple times.
Yeah.
Roasted, beat up multiple times too, which was amazing.
I got absolutely...
At the same time?
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
Yeah. So anytime we've ever done an interview with her,
Roast beef.
he's wanted to be the one that did the interview, and then of course when back at Fan Days when she was the Suicide Squad Harley, we did a little photo shoot with her after.
We need somebody to be your victim. Hey, Mike, come here.
Yeah, and he's like,
Every time.
okay, sure. And then of course he's like, wait, what do I
I'm
do?
getting so many ideas for next year.
I know.
He's like, okay, so what do I do? And I said, okay, so
anything.
get down on your knees.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what? just trust me, get down on your knees. Okay, Charlotte.
You need
No,
to
wind up here. So I'm like, Charlotte, okay, wind up with the bat and just like go in, but don't hit
I'm sorry,
it. He's
what?
like, what?
No, it's
Don't
fine.
worry,
No,
she won't hit you.
The
That's not helping.
But the correct description was go
It
for the
was
knee
foam.
down.
Yeah.
Put
hold
a
me.
pickleball bat. You'll be fine.
Have you seen that girl do anything? Can you trust her to use restraint?
It's amazing. Like so,
It'll be okay.
when
And
we
I'm
said
sitting
you
there
go
I'm
full
like, I
vegan
honestly
on
don't
him,
know
but
how to
don't
answer that.
actually hit him. The first time that we actually went in for the picture, before I had the camera set up, she's like, okay, hey, ready? I'm getting ready. Okay, ready? Pop! And I'm like, I'm still getting ready. Okay, and he's, okay. I think I'm ready. He's
That
still
was an
down. He's
excellent
down on his knees at this
impression.
time, by the way. It was amazing.
The thing about the times when you're hitting with a light, like here, and you just stand here and hold it up like this,
Yeah.
like.
And she just decides to tee one up. Like, screw it. Whack.
I gotta practice
go.
swing.
Yeah.
And the best part is,
You're not supposed to hit me.
and the best part is Andy, who's her current boyfriend, was actually using my phone to do the behind-the-scenes video at the time. As she's doing that to him, he's trying so hard to keep the video, phone straight while he's like almost in the floor dying from this. It's amazing.
Speaking of Negan, we ran into that guy at Fan Days.
Yes.
That was where it's like, yeah, man, just go ahead and it's a foam bag, just lay one into me.
So so there was a guy that like looked like Negan, like
so
proper,
we
like
were-
full on. It was amazing.
We were going up the escalators at
He was
Fan
coming
Days.
down.
He was coming down. I go, Mike, Negan, and I like point to the guy, and Mike's like, what? I was like,
So
you have to find him later.
We tracked him down. We talked to him, and after the interview, we had him like actually Negan Mike.
Now, in context, he was like, I was like, it's a foam, it's not gonna hurt that much. He was like, yeah, he's like, I'll put one up like on the shoulder blade so it doesn't hurt that much. He catches me down here in the ribs, and he laid the hell into me. So like, I'm standing there, and I hear, boom, like, oh! I just dropped.
To be fair, he was.
To be fair,
like
this is Negan.
No, to be fair, he was a trooper for this. He's like, okay, that was awesome.
Like, I'm just laying on the ground, like, just don't crap my pants, just don't crap my pants, just don't crap my pants.
I'm dying, and he's having a great time with it, and like Mike's just down on the ground trying to catch his breath. It was glorious.
How did Negan feel about this? Was he like nailed it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, he looks up, yeah, he stands there and he chuckles and he's like, I'm
He was
wearing
Negan,
shit
come on.
pants.
Yep. Just over Mike's body says that like just goes on about his day.
He's a character. It's cosplay again.
Oh, he was great, honestly. So that video is actually still coming out, and it is one of
From
my.
October.
So now are we just discussing injuries?
It was one of my favorite parts of that convention. But yeah, so you had that.
I'm sorry, you said highlights, not lowlights. Oh.
But yeah, so
Those were highlights though.
you had some great stuff this year. For me, I actually gotta
He
say.
did catch me the second or third time I filled in.
For me, I gotta say that this whole year has been great, but if I had to pick a specific highlight, I mean, honestly, A-Fest was probably one of the best parts. Like, we did a lot of stuff there.
That's fun. And you could have done more.
Yeah,
I
you guys
know,
didn't even.
I
You
know.
could have been there for the pizza that was too big for the doorway. You could have been there for
Well,
putting
I
our
think-
friend
What
in
the
a
hell?
chick outfit.
He
You saw the
was
videos.
no, he was dying at the hospital at this time.
Oh.
Yes.
That's right, that was the weekend.
Yes, you were.
Oh,
Probably
sorry,
from something
Mike.
stupid that I did for the show yet again.
No,
If you hadn't been in the
you were
hospital,
legitimately sick.
yeah.
This one.
If you hadn't been in the hospital, you could have stayed with us for all the shenanigans.
Yes, but no, I was not going to leave my pregnant wife at home alone for just for the sake of hanging out for a late night.
Yeah, but that guy's keytar was really awesome.
I missed a keytar?
Yeah, you did.
Damn it!
A light up
Dude,
keytar.
it lights up.
You
It's
missed the
amazing.
guitar player, you missed the pizza bigger than a doorway, you missed a lot of things.
You
Our
missed-
friend passed out on a table.
What am I doing with my life?
We got kicked out
You were
of
in
the
the
outside of a hotel.
Oh, we
What the
did!
hell?
Were you still listening?
You can't be on our front anymore.
It was like
We're like on your front. What is your front?
Yeah.
The end of the curb. That's our
They're
front.
like, go to the
Okay.
park down the street, and we did.
They did send us to the park.
We were like 30 people.
We had a rave in the park until 5 o'clock in the morning.
So, to get the next questions going, let's say, Alright, so, most random or stupid thing about 2018 that gives you hope for 2019?
Weird loaded question.
Yeah.
Random stupid
Are you
things.
trying to get deep with this? What
No,
the hell's wrong with you?
so there's been a lot of things that have been a bit depressing across 2018 for various reasons, but there's been a lot of really random shit that's happened too. And every now and then you got that piece of randomness that just gives you hope. Like, it's so stupid or so random, you're like, okay, things aren't that bad. Is there one thing that's so stupid or so random that gave you hope for the future?
Nope, we're all doomed. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Your answer doesn't count though.
My camera today.
Oh.
I wouldn't say it's stupid, but I'd
Thank
say
you.
it's random. The way that Greg got into voice acting
That happened 15 years ago.
still gives me hope, man. Still gives me hope.
There you go.
It's just a weird voice.
If that can happen, I'm gonna keep trying.
I
But to
saw
be fair,
that
if
tail
it
go
doesn't
right
work
now.
out, I'm still gonna find another excuse to keep trying.
Hey, buddy.
No, I guess mine was more
I don't
personal
know,
as
that's an
opposed to
interesting
like
question.
public.
You reading these comments ever again?
Hi.
We have people that have joined, no comments yet,
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay.
but we are all good.
Ah.
The little bubbles popping up.
Yeah.
Oh, those are
Just people that have joined.
Got it. Okay.
If you're watching and you want to ask a question, by all means, type it on the kids call it the chat, the chat boards, the message.
The whatever. The live comments.
Yeah.
So,
Mine was like more of a personal thing.
okay, go for it.
I started teaching this year, and like I was a substitute last year, and I had one of the kids I was substituting for last year, and he was like, hey, by the way, the few physics classes you substituted for last year, I picked my major for next year, and it's physics. I was like, oh, I got really excited over it, so like that was heartwarming as a teacher.
Officially
As a
teaching.
teacher, yes.
Like, I've talked really loud, so kids next to me at restaurants, they learn a lot of interesting expressions.
No, like officially teaching. Like I have 150 students teaching, like for real teaching.
150 students. That's a lot of students.
Wait, where do you teach them?
Does it matter?
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Right in their tiny, impressionable minds.
In Oklahoma.
No, it does not matter.
Yeah.
They need teaching more than most states.
More than the
I'm
other
trying.
40,
Guys.
9.
48?
Okay.
49.
49.
I don't
49.
think you guys want my opinion on Oklahoma. Every time I drive through Oklahoma, something's on fire. And there's a reason why. So
I'm trying.
That's why D can't.
I'm trying.
get
Put out
out.
the fire or burn more.
Both.
No, they're
Well,
hilarious. They
a
can
modification
burn
of this, if you want, we got Kaylee Franklin over in the YouTube comments that's asking what's been one of the funniest things for this year that made you happy.
Basically anything I've done for this damn thing. Because I didn't do it by freedom of will. And then I look back and I was like, yeah, okay, that was actually pretty fun.
This year was so long.
Yeah.
It's like hard to think of like,
Right.
is that this
That's-
year?
That's the same.
Wasn't like Black Panther coming
I
out
don't
like
see
earlier
how
this
you
year?
guys keep up with
It
a lot of
did.
this
It
stuff.
is.
Because you went to
Forever.
so many cons. Like, how are you guys not overexhausted?
I don't remember.
Oh, we're
those.
pretty-
I could
we're
usually
pretty
only
exhausted.
handle like one a month, and I'm like, whoo.
Oh, I've turned it back for next year.
3 weeks off.
Yeah, like that's
We'll
another
see if I
thing
stick
too.
to it.
Is like us looking back at like all the stuff that we did and all the stuff that we covered. I was just like, God, that was this year.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Like when we were going back through, like we have a fairly significant backlog of things that we're still trying to get out from like content from like fan days, from Waxicon, from even from the Dallas Comic Show holiday special. But
Was that like the Star Wars holiday special, or is that?
no, it's better than that. But like, I mean, even factoring that in, we severely underestimated how much we could actually handle this year because just so much ended up happening that it really is hard to keep track of everything that happened because lots happened this year. Yeah.
Well, to answer our YouTube fans question, a funny, silly thing that happened that made me really happy, whether you think it's silly or not, that's cool too. I had this jersey that said, yes, bitch, yes! And I never wore it, really. I just really liked it because it reminded me of the video with like Nikki, and it was like, let's do the fork in the garbage disposal, you know? And so I literally just had that jersey for that reason.
Oh my.
And I never really wore it. And the first day of the con, I saw Guairo, and he was wearing like this little cutoff top that was kind of cut like that. And I was like, I feel like he would wear that shirt. So he came to our room the last night, and I was like, bro, you want this jersey? And he got so excited, he tore his shirt off and put it on, and it didn't even
Like you didn't take the shirt off. You
It was
just ripped
hilarious.
It like you was Superman or some shit.
Hulk Hogan.
Give me that.
No, he just ripped it off quickly. He didn't literally tear the shirt. I don't know. I don't know. Never checked.
Oh.
But he gets into this jersey. It doesn't fit him at all because he's like pretty bulked up compared. I mean, it was for me, so
Sure.
yeah. So the armbands didn't fit at all, and I said that looks painful. He said I'm wearing it. Do you have scissors? And I was like, okay.
He just ripped out of a shirt, but he needs scissors to cut the shirt.
So
He didn't fix that jersey, did he?
no, he didn't.
tried.
No, he didn't want to hurt the jersey. He said, no, we're gonna do this stylish. And I grabbed some scissors because I was cutting my legs. And we just cut straight up the side, so it would just like hang kind of open because
Cut a
the shirts
zigzag
are cut like
pattern.
that. So I cut it in the exact same spot on both sides, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I was just so happy that he liked that shirt and was like wanted to wear it the rest of the night.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
So awesome.
It's very classic.
That's
So-
awesome.
Love that guy.
Happiest thing for me has got to be actually happened a couple times at fan days where you actually had there were a couple of like father-daughter setups where like daughters like little kids
Oh.
where like they were cosplaying together
Yeah.
and like stuff that you're going, yeah, he's definitely doing that for her. Where like there was one that was the little Dorothy and he was the flying monkey.
Aw.
There
That
was
was adorable.
There was another one where that was I'm blanking on what it was.
Was
but I
that
know-
on Moana and Maui?
That yeah.
That
There was
was
Moana Maui. There was
Because we talked to the Maui.
there's a Marvel one too, and like the whole
I saw
thing.
quite a few of them where like the little girl wanted to be Ladybug, so he wore the other like cat suit, and I
Yeah.
was like, I know that dad's doing that for her.
Yeah, and like just the fact that you have dads that are that open to bringing their kids into the nerdy environment so much that they're willing to go and make themselves be ridiculous in order to bring their kids into this thing that they love. That's just inspiring. That's happy for
On
me.
that, one thing that made me happy too was at Expo they brought in like different fandoms. So like they had a bunch of the Disney princesses in, and that like they had the Disney princesses and they had a bunch of the other like sci-fi, kind of like the bigger names. They were supposed to have Michael J. Fox, but he ended up canceling. But like just kind of seeing like the diverse fandoms that kind of converged on for that was pretty cool. Just like seeing like all the little bells and like Ariels running around. I was like,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool that like these kids can go and dress up and be a nerd for a weekend and then not be made fun of for it or anything.
Yeah. No, it's always great. But for the randomness that actually gives me hope for next year. So inevitably, at the end of every year, at least for the past couple years, a lot of the major media outlets will go and try to be extra edgy by posting. So for anybody that's actually paid attention to internet, analytics rule. And the one website that is very transparent about their analytics, not YouTube, sorry.
You suck.
Is Pornhub, actually. And the media outlets that are trying to be extra edgy will go and say what their top 10 rated analytics were for the year.
Actually, do not criticize that
No,
because
it's
they're
You're talking about this with your wife in the room?
No, like seriously, this
It's on the news.
actually
It's on the news. It's okay.
Since like Tumblr
Yeah, like
has
CNN,
like
Fox
crashed
News.
and fall like and
Yeah.
like did away with the laptop, Pornhub actually
Yeah, like-
opened up and they're like,
Brad,
whatever,
why does she
like
have a
we're
knife?
not just porn, we'll
yeah.
post whatever.
Like
you
CNN, Fox News, not ABC because it's Disney, but like NBC and all that. Like whenever they want to be edgy, at the end of the year, they'll always share what Pornhub posts as their top 10. What gives me hope is the fact that the 4th ranked search term for them was romance.
Aw.
The fact that you actually have romance was such a highly
That you make
ranked
that
thing, even for something in related to porn. It kind of just goes
Are
to
you
show
sure they're not
everything
like
isn't
looking
so.
it up, going, what is romance?
Wait, are we
Because
sure- are we-
like
wait, I mean,
we're in a
regardless.
digital age now,
Are we
so
sure it wasn't
a lot of
romance?
them might be like sick on Bumble, and
I mean-
they're like, I forgot what romance is. Maybe I need to Google this term.
I mean, regardless, the fact that that's even a
I
thing
don't know
that
what
came
romance is.
up,
Let me check Pornhub.
Let me double check.
it
What's Pornhub
it's the
say?
most random thing that gives me hope that maybe things aren't complete crap. You know.
I think you're taking it the wrong way completely. People who have given up on having sex with somebody, they're going to Pornhub. Now, people who are just so lonely, they have to Google romance.
This took a super dark turn. Oh my god.
I said happy as a friend. I said friend.
What?
Okay,
Is
okay.
this not romantic?
So
We're gonna hop in the car and drive the fuck out of this neighborhood.
I will go ahead and say my wife just gave me a hard time saying that my happiest moment should have been, and to be fair, is the fact that I'm having a kid.
Upon
A
prompting,
baby is coming.
I'm changing my answer.
Upon reflecting on some outside help.
Are you really looking at a porn website? Amazing.
Do you need your shovel back?
Anyway,
Do I need to clear off the couch for you in my place?
anyway,
said
Mike, you want to take this one?
No, I don't. By all means, I want to keep watching this.
So what are your favorite categories?
I wish our audience could see her face.
Grab some beers right there. We can show it.
It's amazing. It's terrible.
I don't like right
I'm gonna change the subject.
No, please don't. Please don't.
This is kicking off the year great.
Yeah, we are going out with a bang.
He is hilarious.
It's a bang, not a dog.
No, it's a bang.
With some romance.
Unintended.
Oh.
How does one
Anyway.
Please, by all means, Brad, the floor is yours.
So what was the greatest thing that's happened to you this year?
Cut having a kid.
Well, it's not coming out this year.
Yes.
It's coming out next year.
Well, yes. Coming attractions.
Finding out I'm having a kid. We gave you a second chance and you still couldn't get it right.
Oh my gosh.
Again, here's your shovel.
Anyway,
Any other answers for that question?
next question.
I don't have
The next question sounds good.
Okay,
Somebody else start this one off.
so, favorite movie from this year?
Why
You're killing me.
She looked over and she said Bird Box. She Lars mouthed Bird Box and then favorite movie. Come on.
I will say Bird Box was actually good. I'll give it that.
No, I'm just trying to work out the plot from all the memes I've seen, and so far I got nothing.
Good luck with
I don't think there's a lot of birds. They haven't been in the memes.
It doesn't look like a very big box either.
That was big.
Oh.
I think my favorite movie is actually I went and saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse the other day, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Infinity War was also amazing, but I'm also waiting for like part 2 to come out and kind of.
It's not a part 2, it's its own movie.
Didn't I think Ant-Man and the
Second
Wasp was pretty fun?
But,
Man, I don't know.
I really liked Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I liked Hereditary.
I heard that was really good.
Never saw that.
It really was.
Was it pretty creepy? Was it?
It was kind of delightful.
You know what was fun? My Hero Academia movie. That was fun. I don't usually go to theaters for anime movie releases, and that was pretty fun. And we costumed, and like everybody wanted pictures with us, especially this guy because it's cool.
She didn't know about it. I was like, we got tickets.
Yeah.
Let's go. She's like, for what?
Well, let's do this.
Man,
I'm always in. I don't always know what I'm in for.
I don't know if it's necessarily a movie, but HBO did this documentary on Spielberg. It was like a 2.5-hour thing, basically chronicling like his personal life and like how it broke into like his films and his tone when he makes movies and how he makes. It was fantastic. Like that might be like one of the best things I saw this year. But I'm just looking at them, trying to remember what came out.
You know what? I think Negri's getting into cosplay movie came out this year on Rooster Teeth. Wasn't that this year?
No.
Yes, I love that.
Incredibles
Was that
2.
this year?
We finally got the
Yeah,
Incredibles
that was
2
awesome.
after
We did get that one,
a
too.
decade plus.
It was really good. We went and saw it.
Incredibles was hilarious. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
We'll talk about good
Dude, I don't
documentaries.
remember movies to know.
The Halloween
Deadpool.
reboot was fantastic.
Oh my god.
Deadpool 2 came out this year.
That is sleep well.
I'm fired.
Yeah, the Halloween reboot was fantastic. Infinity War.
You want to talk about good documentaries?
Black Panther.
Won't You Be My Neighbor? The documentary about Mr. Rogers.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it is
I heard that was
fantastic.
a tearjerker.
Fantastic.
the-
Sarah and I got the
Well, no,
chance to
what's
watch
that?
it on Amazon, and like, it was actually we rented it from Redbox, and amazing. Like, yeah, it goes into the like the story behind the show and everything, which is fascinating. But to actually get into his life and like the things that led up to him choosing to start the show, and even like the little like local broadcast thing that became Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And like when you're watching it, you're going, that looks like really low end like Captain Kangaroo kind
It
of
was
stuff
very
initially, and then it
simple.
becomes like this big thing, and when it goes into how much he was so committed to, you know, like first and foremost, making sure that the kids understood the difference between when he was talking about real life and when he went into Imagination Land, and like
he
he
picked
wanted to
some
be clear
difficult
delineation.
topics too that a lot of families would struggle explaining to their kids. So he actually purposely like took those difficult topics.
Well,
I grew up on it. Like,
well, it went into
Oh, I'm sorry.
like.
There was a kid with panties on his face on the TV. I'm sorry.
Well, like it went heavily into like back in the 70s when there was like the hardcore issues with race relations.
He had like one of the first black gentlemen on his show, and he was actually like defining a lot of the show.
The whole scene with him, you know, like having the little like kiddie pool in the front yard, so to speak, bringing him in. Was
That's right. It was there.
Not mailman.
Were you just about to say Mailman Curtis?
I was going to say Mailman McFeely, but no, it was Officer McFeely. And then going in later and like after taking a hiatus from the show because he just thought he couldn't cover anything more, he had covered everything else. Going back like a year later saying, I see so much that's still coming up, so many issues with families and kids that they need to understand, so I'm going to come back. And he comes back and starts talking about things like divorce, things like death, things like, you know, like the hard issues that you're going, wow. Like, and not just seeing him talk about it, but seeing like his behind the scenes footage of talking about why he wanted to do it and why it was important to him personally.
Speaking of one of my favorite
Oh, it's big.
Sounds like a long movie.
Yeah. Actually,
one of my all-time favorite memes.
It was a little bit on the long side, but it didn't feel like it. Like, everything that went on, it kept going, and you're like sucked in the whole time. It is fascinating.
So you had Wreck-It Ralph 2 came out as well. That was really good.
I was saying it.
It's really good.
Was Upgrade this year?
Upgrade, I think, was either this year or the end of last year.
Yeah, I feel like it was this year.
Ready Player One was this year. Ready Player One was
Ready Player One was good. I liked it.
I love Ready
really
Player One. My favorite movie of the year, though, is probably Mission Impossible. It was so good.
Ooh, I'm not a big inspirational fan.
Most inspirational thing that I saw this year. Really sad anime. Normally not my thing. And I actually avoided watching it for a long time because I thought it was a war thing and I don't watch war stuff. Violet Evergarden, though, I think I can credit for me finishing my Saiyan armor in a week. Because it was so inspirational. When I got done watching that anime and I rehydrated myself from crying everything in my body out of me, I felt like I could do anything because a girl with no hands and not knowing the meaning of love became a typewriter person. I forgot what they're called.
Typewriter person.
Became a writer. She used a typewriter.
Typewriter or typewriter in court?
The thing? Okay, whatever.
It's court stenographer, otherwise it's just a writer.
Whatever. She didn't have any hands, and she didn't know the meaning of love, and she became a love letter writer.
That sounds like a
soldiers and
really
stuff.
bad Nicholas Sparks movie.
And it was really inspirational because I was like, she literally
I have my basic moments.
accomplished, and she became like the best one. So the whole anime is about, I don't want to like, ruin it or give anything away, but it's about a little girl who is kidnapped and raised as a soldier. She's raised as a weapon. So she's not taught anything about how to just be a person.
Yes.
And she gets adopted by a soldier to be used, but he's not good at that. So he accidentally, kind of after the war and stuff is over, kind of, started to teach her how to be a person. So then she wanted to figure it out.
Okay.
But yeah, I just thought it was really awesome.
Well, speaking of animes, I finally watched Fullmetal Alchemist. It was really good.
Finally, huh?
You waited even longer than I did with Violet. Yeah.
I never saw you.
Now I'm like almost done with Brotherhood. That's really good and a lot better.
Yeah. The worst movie we saw was some random thing we found on Netflix. It was like Ryan Reynolds, and he had a bunch of heads in his fridge.
I know exactly what you're talking
I
about.
don't think it was quite the worst, but it was bad.
Like he was like a maniac.
Had like Anna Kendrick in it?
I only watched it because she was in it and he was in it. But yeah.
Didn't A Quiet Place come out this year?
Yes, it did.
Quiet Place
I was
was
actually
so
just about to say
good.
that.
So good.
It's
Where's
too
the-
much like Bird Box.
But it came out first.
It's the
So Bird
True,
Box
Bird Box
it-
basically
it's-
ripped it
it's-
off.
the same story.
But Bird Box came out after. So Bird Box copied
They
Quiet
lose.
Place.
And why would you have kids in that environment?
That's what I thought when I
it
watched
wasn't
the Hunger
intentional.
Games.
Like,
Well, in
you're not
Quiet Place
gonna,
it
you're not
was.
gonna be able to like have a baby and be like, don't cry, the fucking monsters are gonna get us.
Well, wasn't the whole thing when she was
you
pregnant
can't-
before
Yes.
the event happened in A Quiet Place?
Nope. She got pregnant after. Before the event, they had 3 kids. Then they, spoilers, lost a kid at the
Spoilers.
beginning, and then got pregnant after the fact.
Fingers quick.
So hold on.
I don't think
So
twins are being made anymore.
Bird Box
so
is
like,
about monsters.
Yeah, I got that now.
Bird Box has
Yeah.
So throughout
Do
different
they show the
Boxes
monsters?
of birds.
So here's the thing, throughout different folklore, like no matter like which folklore you look at, even if it's like old basic ones or even mentioning Christianity too, that there are demons, if you look at them, they make you go insane to the point that you want to kill yourself. And so the movie is about them taking over, like invading the world for coming for the reckoning of everyone. Like that's the premise of it. So you
Oh.
can't see them, that's why she has the
Was the witch this year?
blindfold on.
No, I thought that was last year.
But you find that out like
I got a really long year.
So they don't
I
know
think The
monsters?
Witch was last
you
Halloween.
can't, they're not
I like
visible.
The big horror movie
Yeah.
this year was Halloween.
So, like,
The
yeah,
Halloween
does the show
movie.
ever show them?
Heritage.
Right.
No.
And
There's a
then,
guy-
So you
There's
can-
a
yeah.
scene. There's a scene where a guy draws them out, and they are.
How's that guy know?
You have to see it. That I can't really spoil that part, but
So,
If there
okay.
are monsters, I'm good.
So okay, the bringing up
You-
of Bird
No, but I
Box
wanted to.
and A Quiet Place does bring us to the next question.
The Witch was 2015. Jesus,
Wow.
Jesus.
So that does bring us to another question that we have on the list, which is, for a while there, zombie apocalypse had been the post-apocalyptic
So tired of
theme,
zombies.
and now that's kind of been
So tired.
moved on-ish, and now we have things like A Quiet Place and Bird Box, and you know these like suspenseful monster movies that are post-apocalyptic instead.
There'll always be a rotation, and then
Exactly.
there'll be aliens another year, and
Exactly.
then we'll go back
You saw-
into
you saw-
viruses
well, yeah, like you saw vampires
and
make their comeback with
biochemical
Twilight.
warfare, and you know,
Adorable, man.
So with the current
computer hacking and bio.
with the
like,
current trend of these
androids taking over.
suspenseful monster movies,
That letter was
like the
terrifying.
post-apocalyptic variety, with next
They
year,
were
of course,
monsters, they were
the
disco
big one
monsters.
being Godzilla King of the
Godzilla.
Monsters.
Yes! Oh, yes!
The question is, one, do you like that as your post-apocalyptic theme? And two, if that was actually going to be the post-apocalyptic world that we had to endure, do you think you'd survive?
I don't know.
Wait,
because
Zombie one or the
wait.
non-zombie one?
Like the suspenseful monster movie thing, where like either A Quiet Place or Bird Box, where like you know, like the basic stuff that we do on a daily basis will what will get you killed, whether talking or vision or whatever. You know.
Ooh.
Do you think you survive?
Since
that?
that's the flavor of the week.
Yes.
I'm confused. You
So,
circled back to
I do
day-to-day
like
life.
it.
Did I survive day-to-day life? Well, I'm alive.
However, I don't think I can survive Quiet Place. I think I could maybe survive Bird Box. I'm
I
already
haven't seen
blind
either
without
one.
my glasses.
So Bird Box,
so
if you see the thing, you're
you'll
gonna
wanna
die.
kill me. Yeah.
Quiet Place, if you
Make
make
noise.
noise, they're gonna find you and kill you.
So I think I could survive Bird Box. I'm already like I can take these off and like, hey, I'm blind. Like,
I
Is that a
would've liked
demon or is
Stranger
that
Things.
like?
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
really.
Stranger Things was a little bit creepier. The fact that you had the
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 Demogorgon.
dimension
Oh,
stuff,
so
and
good.
yeah, that.
I just
Oh, I'm so
Let's
hyped
just
for season
say,
3.
I'm gonna go with Stranger Things is a little bit more difficult to swallow than say like Bird Box and everything. Because once you figure it out, you know you couldn't make eye contact or you
But like with the
can't
Demogorgons literally
breathe
just popping out
outside
of the wall.
or yeah. But
Or the pumpkin.
how Stranger Things was, yeah, you know, your kid just disappeared and talked to you through Christmas lights for like months. Yeah.
Right, but with Stranger Things, you just have to avoid walking through a portal.
Could you just move away?
What about
So
the
don't
shadow
walk-
monster?
Well, it's only
Like,
season
This town sucks.
Season
but-
2
Get
comes
the hell out of Hawkins.
Defined by that shadow monster. Like
Other places.
it
to live.
haunted his dreams, and no, No.
So basically what I'm hearing is make friends with a little 11-year-old girl that has telepathy and she'll murder everyone.
With the number 11 on
Fine,
her
yeah.
specifically.
Huh.
So
And also go back
I think
crazy.
what we've agreed on is the world of Stranger Things is the one that we would all prefer to deal with as our post-apocalyptic option.
The greatness of
Well-
Reaganomics, let's go.
I don't really
The thing
want.
is, I think Stranger Thing is the prequel to Silent Hill, which means that mirror universe is going to just slowly take over, and over time, it will be able to just appear when it wants to appear, and it will overlap ours.
So is that, do you think you want that as your post-apocalyptic
God, no.
future?
I don't
So
want any of them.
So Pyramid
Why do I
Head-
have to
It's
pick?
not like we're
Well, if you had
saying
to.
this is what I want.
But like,
Why
if
do
you
I
had to.
Why do I have to choose how the world ends?
Can
You know
I
what?
sit there and take a couple of meteors and,
You know what? Yeah, fine. You know what? If that's what it comes to, whenever it turns to the mirror side, I just pretend to be one of the fucking monsters.
you know what? We're doing global warming.
I'm a cosplayer.
I think
You're a
it's good
cosplayer. You got
enough,
this.
okay?
I will
There you go.
dress up as a dead nurse,
So
shove
it's
wrap my
saying
face,
she
and
wants
run
to
around
have
with knives.
tomorrow. Got it.
And I have a moment like,
Well, I can live in it.
Alright,
Nobody should
they
ever
were
want
great.
to
Yeah, Zombieland, that
I'm
works.
like drawing complete blank on the
Yeah.
name.
Just cover myself in gauze, wrap my face, run around with
Are you
knives.
sure?
Bill Murray?
Maybe he wants to go like this is the end.
Ghostbusters.
Bill Murray.
Mike
Bill
wants to
Murray,
get
like,
the
full-
yes of the
full
dildo.
Bill Murray.
Why?
Like, the monsters.
Was it this is the end? Where the
Oh.
alien like Thanks, Mike.
It's real life.
You're the sacrificial
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Just wakes up. So something
I'm gonna
really
die by
fucked up.
other normal people because they think that I'm one of the
Yeah.
the things.
Literally,
Like-
Bill Murray in Zombieland.
I don't
Yeah.
want
Your
Hermione,
biggest regret.
dramatic
Big deal.
stuff.
so
Like,
Hermione kicked our asses and took half our shit.
I have like a bug out bag and like months of food and all that stuff. But every time I see it, I'm like, I don't want to live through that. It's
Yeah.
like everybody's dead. I'm like, I should just go out there. Like, it's
I could take over a Walmart.
gonna be a while before somebody's like, we need a data
Walmart was
analyst.
golden for a while.
All the food that you could need.
But then
Yeah, you got tents, you got sleeping bags,
Then
you got like
becomes, like other
clothes,
people
you
coming
got
in trying to raid
Go to the
that
gardening,
wall.
you've got
Yeah.
machetes, you've got...
Yeah, you want to be on the top of the top.
you got guns, you got a hunting section, you got some oil, like
Alright, so
That would be my main defense, is I would make a moat of fire.
tires.
Just
like,
dig a ditch about 8 feet deep and just...
So let's just wait 45 minutes
Light
until
that
he's out of
bitch.
oil.
alright, so
The fire's getting a little low. Okay, there we go.
to get things a little bit back on track.
No, we don't.
Never.
No.
There was a truck.
No, that's
We ran off of that bitch a long time ago.
The next question is, so, as you had mentioned before all this started, the new Black Mirror edition is an interactive movie on Netflix. Big thing. Don't know.
Cats play fetch.
Don't know if everybody has had a chance to check it out yet or not, but the question is, with streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all that,
Maybe
the-
Disney.
the
Soon to be Disney.
the option for interactive movies is becoming much more realistic for home viewing. Are interactive movies something that you're interested in? Is that something that you want? And
Oh, I
if
think
so,
it's something on the
why
future.
do you want the interactive movie?
Oh hell yes! Because one of my favorite games ever was Beyond Two Souls, and the whole thing is just a playable movie with the Green Goblin. What's his name?
Willem
Willem
Dafoe.
Thank you, William Dafoe. And it's beautiful, and I love that game, and I would replay that a million times, even knowing that I never get the good ending.
Have you ever played
I
Zelda
think
games
I'll-
before?
Oh, like
Yeah.
Heavy Rain.
Like have
No, that's
a
Quantum Dream. That's the guy that did Beyond Two Souls.
yeah, that's Quantum
Ah,
Dream.
well,
More like
I'm just
like
stuck in the
Telltale.
Quantum Dream, I guess.
Like Telltale games, like there's
Animals
Walking
are kind of-
Dead, there's Borderlands, there's
Oh yeah, I played those.
like all of those. I love those. Like you get a chance to like see how it plays out, and also I love the end.
Even Skyrim, you got choice.
Skyrim, Life is Strange, Life is Strange 2,
Yeah,
well,
Life
those are
is
just-
Strange.
Those are just RPGs. It's not the same.
No, I mean like no, Life is Strange 2, Life is Strange Beyond the Storm, and Life is Strange
Oh, okay.
Stories of.
I was gonna say
Captain
Skyrim and stuff.
something.
Those are just RPGs. Those
All
are
of-
just free realm realms.
Yeah.
But
all of
Those
why?
fit.
Why specifically is the interactive movie intriguing to
Intriguing?
you guys?
Well, see, one can
Because
be
you
choice.
feel like you're in it.
Yeah. You literally get to play like a part of it. Of like
What is
getting
that?
You
to
get
think
to
about it.
control it. Because we're going for how to make that kid's life as miserable as possible. So we're like, oh.
And you can decide if it's PG or R.
Wait,
That, or
so
it's like the interactive, like it's the tell your own story book. So, like,
I used to love
I just thought of like
the
the back of the game. You look at it and it's like, if you go with this ending, it's rated M. If you go with this, and you're like, hey, don't open that door, but you can play the game. In a couple of years, I'll let you open
You
that.
can set it so they
Oh, I can't
can't
wait
choose
till
certain
there's
choices.
articles on Pornhub.
So, okay.
Oh, this gets me the romance ending.
Okay, so hard pass. There. Okay,
In Beyond Two Souls, there is a point where you can choose if she sleeps with a guy or not.
yeah.
so
And I was like,
Since-
yes.
since every one of us in this room are creatives, I'm not creative.
Herb.
I attempt
Our
to
show
be.
is technically creative.
It doesn't go well.
I attempt to be.
yes,
So.
creative. So the next question for all this is,
I mean, I didn't
from
get to
the
answer the last question.
the
but
movie
okay.
making perspective, do you think?
Oh yeah, nobody
That-
else answered the other question.
Well, do you think that the interactive movie would be a legitimately interesting thing to interact with as a viewer, or do you think it would be more of a novelty like VR? Because there is always that possibility that it could be treated as a novelty like VR or 3D, and you're left with a bunch of really crappy movies that just happen to give you multiple options throughout, because the reality of a high budget, high quality, choose your own adventure movie is like 2 to 3 times the production schedule as a traditional
But
movie,
the
because
thing
you're
is-
literally making like 3 to 5 or more movies by doing
But
that.
that's already what these games are. That's why I don't
Games are-
understand how they're going to be different from these games. And these
Yeah,
games are like
budgets.
high quality.
Budgets between a multiple ending game versus a multiple ending movie. Like if you have a bunch of designers that you're paying, their base pay, or you have like this like Ben Affleck or Matt Damon or Jennifer Garner that you're paying however many millions of dollars to film a full movie up through like 5 endings in 7 variations to get to those 5 endings. I mean, that now increases their pay to become what, twice the pay they would have been getting, 3 times the pay. So now that movie budget just jumps up and up and up.
As somebody whose life is in the video game realm, I think that mentality of like presenting, because a video game you're literally living. Yeah, you are playing. So you are essentially living through that character or whatever you want to say, to the point where they present you multiple options for endings because of the choices that you make throughout the game is fine. But if we're being told a story and it's like, oh, but these are the whatever, like if you don't like this ending, you can choose this ending. If you don't like this ending, that's lazy storytelling.
Yeah, it doesn't tell you what the endings are or what the next choices are. It just tells you like make this choice. And so those games don't give you that many choices. You have a few choices.
Right.
You might have like
and you can
4.
really fuck yourself in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
You can choose like to throw a soda at someone at a party and like, oh, you ended the world. You can't win anymore.
Yep.
What? I just
Yeah,
threw a
like-
soda at that.
And there's like nothing that's gonna help win. Yeah.
Like in life is strange. Sam has this ability to rewind time and whatnot. And so like there's a couple of parts where you're going through and you'll see like this one girl always gets something shitty happens to her every single time. Like either it be someone throws a snowball at her head, someone throws a thing of toilet paper at her head, someone pushes her in the pool, someone throws this and it hits her, like everything. So if you catch it, you can rewind time and be like, hey, by the way, you need to move real quick. And so you can keep catching her and kind of keep saving her. So at the very end, she's sitting there in a burning building and you're like trying to tell her like, hey, if you come this way, you'll be safe. If you don't have that trust with her at that point, she'll die at that point. But you can fuck that up from like episode 1
and
it's like-
there was another game that I played though too, where they wrote it in a way that no matter which choice you picked, the other one was going to happen. Like whatever needed to happen was going to happen. So you thought, I made the right choice.
Never mattered.
And the game, so there's a game, I'm not gonna say the name of it, but there's a bunch of these crazy mining demons, and there's a kid that's mad at all of his friends, and he invites them out to this cabin to play a prank on them. And he ties himself up in a shed, and there's a saw in the middle, and you have to choose which one is going to get sawed. And if you choose her, it saws
until
him.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you choose
Yeah,
him,
fine.
it saws him. To fuck with you, because it has to kill him because he's the theater one playing the prank and he's not actually dying.
Right.
But even if you know that going into the game, you're like, all right, this time I'm going to choose her to fuck up the whole rest of the game. No, it goes, well, we don't like you, and it saws him. So that's just one of the things that the game does.
I love that game though. That game's fantastic.
Yeah, you played it with the minors, you have to be still?
Yeah.
Yeah, the game, beautiful. But there are 5 or 6 points in the game where you don't actually choose what happens.
Right.
But what happens,
well,
it happens beautifully.
Really quickly, while you guys continue, does anybody else want to refill?
Yes.
It's time for an intermission. All the glasses are empty.
So we can't all get up.
We need coffee.
We're just gonna leave like a blank
Coffee, regular or Irish?
Oh, regular for me.
Regular.
Very Irish.
Very enough, right? Look at that red hair. Very Irish.
Coffee,
Is that
coffee.
Yeah.
Mike.
One of each.
Okay.
Love you.
And
And I'll just put this in there for you.
Well, I don't know what I want, so I'll let you. You have too much in your hands right now.
Okay.
Don't forget everybody. I said that earlier.
As you
Wait, no,
continue,
Until Dawn was fantastic. I love that game.
Oh,
so, like-
that's what.
This stream not brought to you by KFC.
Product placement. So.
I guess going back
No,
to
but
like
I hate the fact that like it's kind of turning into that now too, where like everybody.
But that game was a movie for me.
Right. That's like it's like the Spider-Man game that just came out on the PS4. Like the way I described it to people, it's like the best Spider-Man movie you'll ever play.
yeah.
I was so mad that like I had to Google it and I was like, oh, the helpful hiker dies no matter what you do.
Yep.
I know.
Well, and that's another
so
thing too.
upset.
Well, and that's another
So
thing too. It also kind of
upset.
presents a thing of like it. Like one of my favorite series of all time was BioShock. The first two games, there were like the first 2 games you could get 3 or 4 different endings depending on your choices, your morality, everything like that. Infinite, there was only one concrete ending.
That's right.
But there was
Because the
stuff that
girls would
presented-
help you at
But
the
there was
end of
stuff
the-
that presented itself throughout Infinite, like it did in the first 2, where it thought it gave you the, I guess, the illusion of free will and everything like that.
I
But it's
forgot
like, no,
about
like
that.
Destiny is
I'm sorry.
set,
It's
and,
depicted on your choices that were made. That's.
but then when you get to Infinite,
You
it's
don't
like
realize
literally.
actually get to the end and it's like, oh. For like
I
the
should
first
have
one,
been
like,
nicer to those little girls.
Beyond Two Souls though, the worst ending was the most beautiful ending.
Yeah,
Really? I don't have
When you
any
drift
ideas,
into
like-
the abyss.
yeah.
I've had
So
Beyond
beautiful.
Souls yet.
But like the ending on
Yeah.
Infinite,
I
like
saved the world and I was like, I'm just gonna drift into the abyss. This is boring.
the ending on
Okay.
Infinite screwed me up because I was like, oh god, like literally everything I've done to this point was like.
For nothing.
Because it like Infinite, because the first 2 games were like free will and choice and morality. Infinite is very much like there is a destiny. Your fate is set in stone and everything like that. And no matter what, you're always going to come to this point in your life and everything like that. So I was like, god damn, like they just completely did a 180 on their previous, like
Yeah.
this is a total mind screw to the point of it's like no matter what choices you make, you will always come to this
Got
point.
taken
and then,
away.
yes, exactly.
You're destined.
But like that's kind of like what I hate about this whole interactive thing of like, well, let's just make movies where you can like choose whatever ending you want.
I don't think they're gonna go gun ho crazy with it
I
because
hope not.
it is very much gonna be a very expensive process
And
to
not
sit there
like-
and do that. Now, granted, there's a lot of movies that have multiple endings recorded. Like, let's think about
Yeah.
Avengers. They recorded how many different
Yeah.
endings
I
or
can't
different scenes?
There's like-
Kid?
yeah,
You're
there's several
making it up
different
as they
ones.
go
Yeah.
at parts too.
But
Like,
it
do
was
we want
never-
to kill them or not?
Well,
Let's
I mean,
record both.
remember the theatrical release of Clue. Whenever you
Yeah.
walked in, you were going to get a
Right.
different ending. They showed different endings in theaters, and then when it came out on VHS, was when everybody saw all the different endings that they had shot.
I
and
don't think
everything
it's
like
that uncommon. I think that they're trying to make it something fun. I think they'll do a couple
novelty
things
thing.
here and there. I think it is going to end up being a novelty because a lot of people can't sit there and interact to watch their movie. We, like as an artist, I watch movies and everything while I'm working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll sit there and paint and it's background noise. So
Right.
I
I do
can't
on
sit
getting
there
paper.
and interact. Like I literally have like the ending of that interactive movie still to do because well I didn't have the time to sit and like
Yeah.
like
I think it's
hours
also
of
gonna
movie.
have preset options. Like
I'm worried that
options
it's
to
going to
just
be
like do the autoplay.
Just keep it going.
I just worry that it's going to turn into a crutch in terms of like storytelling.
Yeah.
But like, think how much money the studios make off of sequels. Like, you can't do a sequel if there was. Which ending did you
Right,
go
I
to?
get that, but-
Well, let's work on that sequel. But it's Black Mirror.
Well,
Black Mirror, every story,
Yeah.
every movie.
But I mean, if
everything
you think
they
about it,
do
that's
is
not technically
different.
true because
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was based on a Michael Crichton novel.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Ian Malcolm gets killed in the Jurassic Park book. Ian Malcolm survives the movie, and he liked writing the character so much that he actually retcons his death from the first book and brings him back to life when he wrote Jurassic World. Because Crichton wrote the screenplay for Jurassic Park.
You read that book like in 2nd grade.
Yep.
But like, I worry about like, what would have happened if like Jaws had a different thing? Like, what would have happened if like...
They befriended the shark.
Yeah. But like, I really like, because some of those movies are
How to Train Your Dragon.
That's everything, because not all of us want
Yeah.
that. Like, and again,
I get that, but I mean like, but then there's a part of that, but then there's also those movies that's like, man, I loved that movie.
I still
but
think
the
it's
ending
possible
sucked.
that it could be good. Like I don't know. Rosebud was like 6 hours long or something. It was like a scary movie a long time ago, and it like lasted forever.
it was like
Which
Lord
was
of
the
the
same
Rings.
like length as playing through like Until Dawn. I think it took us about 6 hours to play through it. So it's
I
just a
only
really
killed-
long movie.
So proud of myself. Only killed one person on my first playthrough for Until Dawn. One.
Just one?
Just one. There's 6 that
That's
can
actually,
die.
that's an accomplishment.
There's 6 that can die. I only killed one.
Technically, you killed 2 because your hiker died.
Well,
Well, your
I
hiker has
can't
to die.
save that though.
Yeah, I know. Oh, okay, you only killed one of the savable people.
Yes.
Right.
Got it. Okay. Because there's certain people that just die.
Yeah. I only killed
They
one of the
just have
savable
to.
people.
Yeah.
And like I was like, how do I save him? So I was like, it was like, well, you can go back and select like a certain like chapter to start in to like go back and replay through all of it. I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I realized like in order to save like the one person that died, I have to go back to chapter 2.
Yeah, our
and
first
play from there to the
playthrough.
very beginning. I was like, I'm not doing this.
Our
It's
first
too
playthrough,
much.
we lost
I
3 people.
miss playing video games.
Which like, it's cool for video games because that gives you an option to come back and like,
Yeah.
everything. But
Like,
like,
I'm gonna play that new Devil May Cry when it comes out.
DMC5.
I'm gonna tear that shit up.
But yeah, my answer to that question is definitely no. You writers,
Yeah,
do
every
your
time I
job.
looked at the TV, I've been like,
Like,
Every time I look at it, there's like some random
Oh,
thing.
but Snoop looks so good.
He's looking up their age. That's not gang signs he's throwing up, that's his arthritis.
I sold pimpo shit. Look at that.
Well, like, I just
haircut.
worry that it's like with a movie franchise like Lord of the Rings, like if it got to a point where it's like, oh, do you want to go to Mordor or do you want to do this? Like,
Can I
Keep the ring.
Can I take the Eagles?
yeah.
Rule over everything.
we know what's funny is they actually talk about that in the. That's
Can you
something
end
that's,
the movie way faster by just being like, throw it in
Can
there?
I keep the ring? Like,
Hey,
I
well,
want
like,
to see
that's-
what would happen.
thank you, buddy. You know what's funny is it's
You
actually,
wouldn't be able to see what happened.
if I remember right, I think it's actually covered in the book, like why they didn't go to the Eagles.
Yeah,
I
Just
can't
because they were
remember.
trying
The
to, but
Eagles were
Sauron dropped the when they were going over the mountain and the blizzard hit. That was them trying to meet up with the Eagles on the top of the mountain, and they couldn't get up there because of the blizzard. So then they were like, well, now we got to go through the mountain.
Oh.
Because Gandalf like interacts with
Thank
the
you.
Eagles in the Hobbit, and everybody's like, well, why? Like, if it takes place after, and it's like, well, if you read the book, like, it actually goes
I was like,
into the
eventually they
yeah.
got saved by the Eagles.
Right.
Yeah, like I would have done that from the get-go, from like the Shire. Eagles, hello, I'd like a trip, please.
I'll send a pigeon.
It can be one way, because once I get to Mordor,
Like, oh, snap.
Pick me
You
up.
don't even need multiple.
Hey, look,
Eagles,
it's like a treat.
you know, you just need one
How heavy is
eagle.
a ring?
You just need one eagle to carry me while I hold the ring, because the eagle can't hold the ring
Right.
for
Why
some reason.
Get better eagles.
And then just
I'll
carry me
put it
around.
on
I'm gonna
the
drop
clock.
the ring. There's not gonna be any more war or anything. It's fine. Yeah.
I just do worry about
But you have a
lazy
ring.
writing, and just kind of like using it as a crutch.
I'm
for
still
storytelling.
saying no. I don't want to make my own. Like, where do we draw the line? How many decisions do I have to make? I might as well write my own book, movie, whatever.
Well, I also think that's going to kill creativity too.
Ghostbusters books.
We're already
Or not
this far
Ghostbusters, Goosebumps.
Well, like also just think about it.
Goosebumps
So like, let's say you're writing a book, or like, let's say you're writing like a TV show, and you come up to like a critical like plot point, or like maybe you're trying to decide whether or not to kill off a character or something like that. Well, I can just write one script where I do, and one script where I don't, and then let the person start. And like, no, like make that creative choice. Like stand by your choices, and make the
I
story
liked
that
those
you want to
books
make.
though.
I just think
Growing
of
up,
like,
like I liked those books where you picked your path and like crazy shit
Sure.
can happen.
adventures, yeah.
I
mean,
love
those-
those.
I like those, and you could go backwards through them.
And there was like several colors, and then it was like several different like paths.
I mean, there was like that Family Guy skit where he's like, no, I didn't take my finger off the page.
Yeah. You seen it? You seen it? I seen it. Either.
I liked those.
I do too. So no, that's why I don't worry about the movies
I think it's
coming
gonna
out
be
doing
cool.
it. I think it's gonna be just like the books. They're not all over the place, but they're fun.
Now I want to play
That's
Until Dawn
small.
again.
So,
I know. I mean,
With these guys, because you guys haven't done a playthrough movie apparently.
mm,
Have you guys played any games like that?
the Telltale ones are really good. Like you can do all the Walking Deads. You can do if you like the Borderlands games, Telltale Borderlands, which made me
Actually,
roll
I
my
have
eyes
played Borderlands, and
Played
then
Borderlands?
I did Bioshock, and
So-
so
One of my favorite
Telltale,
series
they're
ever.
not Tales from the
As
Borderlands.
movie, though. Like Beyond Two Souls and Until Dawn, you literally watch like 5 minutes of a video, and then you do like 2 seconds of something, and then you watch 5 minutes of a video because you just make a choice, and then you just play the choice.
And you might be like
Like when the
walking
saw blade
through-
is going, you're just button mashing to stop it.
It's
Like,
not
that's
like
it.
it's
But you're not
extreme,
gonna stop
like
it.
co-op that's like guided. You just have like
Yeah, because your
might
gameplay
use
is very minimal.
Yeah, like on Until Dawn, you'll get a chance to like walk around and you can find like a totem, and the totems can like if you watch them, they give you an idea of like, hey, this is a possibility of something happening. Do you want this to happen or not? And like I think I got one that I saw like one of the characters burning alive. I was like, no, I don't want this to happen.
The
But
only
it
thing
doesn't
that
tell you
sucks
how to
about
prevent
those
it.
totems is if you don't look up the guide, you don't know how to prevent it. So it really doesn't tell you anything. It's just like
Yeah.
this could happen.
Yeah, it's kind of like a premonition of like this is coming up and could very well happen.
Yeah.
And so you have to like the worst part is that you sit there and watch them. You're like, I don't want this to happen.
My
But
brother's
some of
favorite
them
one
are
was the
fun.
one that had Hayden Panettiere getting out of the bathtub. He's like, that one, I want that to happen. Because you know the blue ones are positive and like the red ones are bad.
Yeah.
And then the yellow ones are like iffy. Like
Yeah.
you may or may not want it to happen.
And like brown ones are kind of like if you made a bad choice,
Yeah.
this is what's going to happen.
But the
You
blue ones were also far less
You
likely
just
to
wanted to get
actually
Hayden
happen
Panettiere, you
because
just
they were
wanted to watch
positive.
Hayden Panettiere get on the
Yeah,
bathtub.
and so when he played through the first time, he ended up running through the house in a towel away from something.
I did too.
And that never happened to me. And he was so upset.
Yeah, I had to run through the house in a towel. Like she was sitting there, she was like running through and almost like jump this, do this.
Yeah, I was the only one that found the clothes in
the
that corner. I'm like, what? And he's like,
There
oh,
were
I wasn't
clothes?
trying to dress her.
Yeah.
clothes.
See,
There
Hayden
were.
Panettiere, I wouldn't try to dress her either.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
were. I didn't mean to. I checked them out, and that made her put them on.
I
Because it's a
want-
movie, so you click on something and it just happens.
I would have just dropped the controller, like, done!
I think that
I made the wrong choice.
there's another part when you get to
help me.
you get to this area, I don't want like super spoiled, but you get to like the asylum and stuff. And like the dogs are there, and like you can choose like how you interact with them and stuff. And like they're actually got an achievement for doing like the very first part and like keeping it all the way through. But
I want to
so
know.
that you can,
Oh, yes,
You
yeah,
can,
because
like-
you can get them to help you. And I was so afraid that
and
they were
they're
going to
gonna
get
help
eaten.
you like
I
throughout
was
the
so
entire
afraid.
thing,
I was like,
you know?
there's going to be like a dog like come out of this wall.
But the whole thing about like from Until Dawn is like it's based on the butterfly effect. So like something that could happen in chapter 2, like I said, like one person I killed, I'd have to change something that happened in chapter 2 in order to fix it happening in chapter 8. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like it's a full butterfly effect thing, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
It's a really good game.
I don't
Okay.
like when it doesn't tell you what's gonna happen. Like I remember, like a long time, like Final Fantasy VIII, I think. Where you
well,
were
in
like-
a movie,
you were,
you're
like,
not going to know
scored.
what's going to happen.
You were scored on how well you did on like your seed test, like real
Yeah.
beginning of disc 1, and like I would look up the guide, like which one's the best. All right, this one gets me like this much more money. Pick that one. But like you wouldn't think it was like we gotta stay and fight instead of like let's go find a teacher.
They made all those super complicated though.
Yeah.
You almost had to get the book to sit there and be like, oh, am I making
Fucking
good
Square
life
Enix.
decisions? Because I really don't want to sit there and have to grind out for these funds again.
Yeah.
And then like in Star Wars: The Old Republic, it would tell you whether you're making like the dark side or like the light side. But if you're trying to play a dark side character, it's so stupid. It's like, hey, we need information with this guy. And the dark side's like, kill him. You're like, well, okay, now he's dead. Now I gotta like do something else.
And honestly, that's kind of the problem with doing anything where you have to control the decisions of the character, whether a movie or game, because after a point, there's very little room for nuance when you have to have a limited number of choices. The second that you can have like a pre-decided set of this happens and this happens and this happens, then you can allow for nuance because you don't have to allow for understanding of the different options by the person that is responsible for viewing it. It is simply they view it and it whatever happens happens. So that's the one
Yeah.
downside to anything that's RPG related at all, is that there is a limit at least in terms of the way that their RPGs are approached today, that they can't give you that much nuance after a point. Like, it either it's too difficult or it's too complicated to make it a thing.
And there are movies that like people still discuss the endings for, like Inception, like Blade Runner, and it was like press X and you're a robot.
Yeah, like what? Well, like
it was a dream all along, eh?
but so like movies like that.
Thinking Prey.
Yeah, the game Prey. Well, like if it's anything like that where it leaves it open for like you to actually discuss and for you to think about, like, would you really want a definitive answer to that?
No.
Like I think one of my favorite horror movies ever is
Ambiguous endings.
Yeah, like one of my favorite horror movies ever is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, where it ends with McCready and
I'd say Until Dawn is a pretty ambiguous ending.
but like where it
You
ends
don't
with
know
that,
if
like,
anything ever happened.
But those are so
No,
random.
yeah,
but
you
still,
don't
but there's other stuff that, like the very
Well, no,
first,
like,
like
from
the
that
dog
point
walks
on.
into the room and you just see
Like,
the
does
silhouette of the
someone
person.
go in and
Who was
kill
that
the
person?
creatures? Are they still there?
Did
anyone believe
his
those
child's
kids?
really a
So,
thing, or is he?
it
But like
depends on what
that
ending
whole
you
scene
get,
where they're
because,
just
like,
sitting there and everything's burning around them, and he's like,
There's
maybe
I
neither of
love
us
that.
a certain
maybe
set of
neither of
stuff.
us should survive. Maybe we'll
they
just sit
actually
here.
go.
And then it just fades to black. You're just like,
Wow.
son of a
things
bitch.
with.
You're like, that's
Yeah.
such a great
character, the
ending,
guy
and
who's
it's like it leaves
It
it
took
so
me
up to.
forever
he
watching
would
that
be
over and
killed by
over
his
before I
sister,
caught
not
on
her
the
doing
fact
Like,
that
how does
one
that
had
read? Yeah.
Or his sister
seen
returned.
the other
Or like
Yeah.
Inception, like where he spins the
Yeah.
thing and then he
Get
sees his
him
kids and he
turned
walks
into
up
one,
and the
like, a year
camera
later,
focuses in on
there's,
that
like,
and then it just
mountain
ends.
rangers
Yeah,
going
you were like,
together, trying to,
oh,
like, find
did he
his
really
body.
get out?
People like,
at the end?
Yeah,
But
okay,
like you
that's
start
so
thinking about the
scary.
movie and it's like,
And I like how they had to
So-
get it just
Kind of just
Alright, so to wrap up this topic really quick so we can move on to the next question, because I think we could literally go on with this for like the next 2 hours. Yeah, in terms of creativity in making, interactive movies could definitely have a lot of options if the right creative people were responsible for making it. However, obviously there are some flaws that could come up, and
I just want to point out, what would happen if Michael Bay got his hands on this?
Let's not.
that would be terrifying.
Or Joel
lens
Schumacher?
flares
Or,
and every
whoa.
option.
No, wait,
Explosion of
wait, that's J.J. Abrams, and J.J. can do no wrong.
Wow.
What about
Okay,
Laura?
I will
Michael
still
Bay's the
throw
one
out
with the
there.
explosion
Okay,
issue.
very good.
Actually, true
If
story.
you want to talk about
Nobody
No
will
True No
rent
Wrong, I will still throw out there
cameras
in
to
the
Michael
numbers.
Bay because he's gone through so many
Star Trek Into
insurances
Darkness.
and blown up so
No.
many
Very good.
that most people
And
won't
the
even
flip-
rent them.
Severely overrated.
No, the flip was good.
Anyway,
But
okay.
Contrary to what you and David
bouncing,
say, the flip was
like,
good. Because
Alright.
these two
people
characters
people
were so different that
So-
you had to learn something totally different.
So moving on to the next question, finally.
I'm good
So,
Kurt or Picard? Oh wait.
no.
Janeway.
Without going too dark or depressing, and considering this group, I have to emphasize, without going too dark or depressing, the part of 2018 that you wish would just go away for next year, like do not want to repeat, do not want to happen.
Pods.
I was gonna say
No.
Damn it.
I teach high school kids.
So-
okay?
Dang it. Okay.
So we call that Darwinism, and we need it to keep going.
Again, I live in Oklahoma. Do you think they believe in Darwinism?
That's a very good counter.
Trump.
That's good.
I say that.
Either way, I think we still got another 2 years of that. Because we're 2 years
I
in,
mean,
right?
I'm not
We're 2
plus,
years.
hey.
We're 2 years
I don't
in.
think he'll make
2
it
years
to the
left.
last year.
I mean,
At
hey,
this
hold on.
point, I don't think anything he says is actually gonna matter to
I didn't
anybody.
pay. I
We'll
didn't
just
vote
keep
for
the
the
government
guy.
shut down until his turn.
Look, I didn't vote for the guy. I'm not a fan, but he's not getting impeached. They don't have anything. If they actually had something, he would have already gotten impeached.
So that's actually
Like, I hate to
It's
say
not
it, but
that
So-
easy of a deal, though.
no, I don't. Well, I don't disagree, but you also just lost the Senate. So I mean, the House can vote to bring charges, but the Senate still has to actually go through with it, and they're not going to.
so that's actually
Unfortunate.
is that,
So
that's
we're
actually
just
one
gonna
thing.
sit there and be like, okay, so this happened.
I mean,
Well, we had our election, like, rigged and everything.
That's what it
So,
feels like.
but since we can't do anything about it, well, no harm, no foul.
So okay, that's actually one thing that
Really?
I will say that I kind of wish we would.
Yeah.
That is one thing I kind of wish would change for next year. Go away, change whatever.
I think there needs to be consequences.
The impact of
for
social
stuff.
media. Like that's one thing I will say would be nice if it changed, and I'm ready for it to go away.
Can we just agree that our political constituents should not be on social media?
Hey, can racism
Actually, no.
go back away?
Can
racism go away?
So like I'm
Yeah.
not even like not even politics.
Pretty big thing.
I'm pretty
I thought we
clear.
weren't going
So
to.
not even politics specifically. We can go
It's dark and
into
oppressing.
so not even politics specifically. We can even go into the realm of nerdy stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I just don't talk politics.
I swear to
the
you,
I do a
idea-
much lighter one.
The idea that social media
Well,
could actually,
Those are pretty light.
start to become equated to like face-to-face conversation, so that anything that happens on social media would be treated the same as if it is something that I said to you to your face. Like that would be one thing that I wish
Also, you won't even.
I wish would change for next year and go away, because right now social media, like, it is the new form of communication that we all enjoy for business purposes, for business purposes, for personal reasons, for social, whatever. But there is a certain thing about it that it's not always seen as the same thing as if I'm talking to you face to face, and so there's a level of detachment regardless of what you're talking about. And I would like for next year if the idea that detachment could go away and we could start to see it as an actual conversation with human beings, because within the nerdy realm, it would mean that we could hopefully start to move away from the idea that if a movie comes out that you don't like, that means that you have to track down the people that starred in it and literally harass them until they are no longer on social media. If you're a cosplayer
The Last Jedi.
or a creative person that makes things online, if you make something or model something or whatever, that inappropriate comments or demeaning comments would actually start to mean something, and it's not just, oh, well, I mean, it's the internet, it doesn't matter. No, you just said something truly vile to this other human being. That means something. If social media could be treated as actual
What
communication,
you're saying
that would be nice.
It's ban all trolls, but
Yeah, it's an easy.
Social media
I
is
don't,
knowledge. It's
see
a
that.
connection. You're getting to meet people. You're getting to see new techniques. You're getting to learn new things. You're getting to see new trades. You get to see new crafts. Everybody is growing. If you just watching since social media, just look at how cosplay has changed.
Mm.
Like over the past 10 years of cosplay. And it went from
Damn, you're
everybody could do it overnight, 24 hours, to now people are doing these Ava foam armors that, they spent a year building.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal. And they're doing these YouTube videos and tutorials that everybody's putting themselves out there. It's remarkable.
I think-
But what's sad is everybody treats it as a competition and attacks
Right.
each other and makes it a cutthroat, so they take the joy of what's supposed to be a positive and they turn it into a negative where
Yes.
we're all fighting and clawing at each other to make it, when truthfully, if everybody just kind of worked together, we would all make it.
I think
And the
that's
other
also.
thing-
Oh,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
there's always gonna be trolls.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Sure.
But also these people, there's a little bit of darkness there that they're wanting to get out, and probably just because something else terrible is happening in their life. I don't
Sure.
know them.
Sure.
Whatever. But they don't have the balls to be a bully in real life. Great. Get it out online.
Keyboard warriors.
By all means, do that rather than bullying people in real life. Because I'd
Sure.
rather people type stuff on my post that I can mute, I can hide, I can block, I can laugh. That is the best thing to do, is to just laugh at it or to respond with a haha. Because if they're not getting to you, they're not going to keep doing it anyway because they're not accomplishing what they want to accomplish. But at the same time, I would rather them do it online than in person.
But
Much rather.
But that's
so
the
screw.
that's the difference. Like, you guys have been doing cosplay for a while, and like you've existed online for long enough that you can understand the difference between somebody
Well,
that's
even before I was
intentionally
a
trying to troll
cosplayer.
you
I mean, people
and
bully me
somebody
on
who thinks
MySpace.
they're giving you
Okay.
like legitimate criticism, but they're just
Yeah.
being a douche.
There'll
the-
always
the-
be bullying.
The difference
Yeah.
is though, like,
Dude, Second Life?
well,
dude,
when you
You
have
know how many
like
times I got banned for nothing?
talking about like the younger generation that's getting into this. When you
See?
have somebody that is like just starting out in cosplay, like for example, there are
They're not troll prepared.
like we make it a practice when it comes to social media, trying to find any and all of the people involved in the nerdy community in the DFW Metroplex, and trying to support them whenever we can.
That's how we ran into you guys.
Yeah, hey, what's up?
Like
Obviously, we can't get much better either. So.
I mean, we're really lowering our standards.
We're at an all new
We
level.
couldn't get in touch with any other podcast, so
We're
we're
just
here.
gonna eat these goldfish.
but like,
I'm gonna sip my tea.
That's right. Just eat the poison.
but like you have like the especially because like online creative people is getting younger and younger every year, especially because of apps like Musical.ly and I mean Snapchat's almost becoming irrelevant, it seems like, at this point. And like everything else like that, where like the younger generation's able to get in to the nerdy community using these other forms of social media.
I'm new to using the social media myself. Before it was there,
Yeah.
I mean, I was on it. It was there. I knew about it.
But it's a whole
I just
different
didn't
thing.
use it as a tool
Yeah.
before.
But it
So
wasn't
I'm
like
working on that.
in your life since
Yeah.
the get-go. These kids are growing up
Yeah.
with already hired
And there
Well, like,
are
yeah,
forms
like,
of social media
social
that
media
are
is like
exclusively like high school and under. But the problem is, if you have like a young nerd, like especially young awkward nerd, who wants to get into comic books, wants to get into cosplay, wants to get into whatever, and is very self-conscious about what they're doing, the idea of internet trolls academically makes sense to everybody. Like anybody that spent more than 2 minutes on the internet understands what a troll is. But the second you actually have to endure what that means is a whole different thing. And a lot of these younger kids that are getting involved in this, it's not quite something that they can comprehend.
Well, like,
Yeah.
Because people don't get that if you're talking to this little 13-year-old kid that, you know, this is their first attempt to get into anime, or this is their first attempt to get into cosplay, it's a store-bought costume. It is, you know, I mean, it's not that great, but they love it. And then you say, hey, you know, whatever, go kill yourself. That matters to them. you
Yeah,
know?
like I have 2 kids, my classes. One of them actually has a YouTube channel. Like I didn't know that. Like we were doing, all my tests are done like through Google Classroom and stuff. So they log in, like they take it through there, and I had to like walk around, make sure they're updating all that good stuff. But one of them, his picture kept popping up as like the YouTube logo. I was like, okay, why? Like finally, because like some of their pictures are like their favorite celebrity, their favorite rapper, like a movie character, comic book character, like. So I see this. I'm like, okay, I see what you're into. This is kind of interesting to kind of see different sides of people. But his always popped as a YouTube logo. I was like, do you have a YouTube channel? He was like, yeah, I do actually. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, what do you post on there? He's like, well, I post like, I do like weekly vlogs. I do video game playthroughs and stuff like that. I was like, that's really cool. Like, dude, kid has like 1,500 followers, like subscribers on YouTube. I was like,
He's doing better. He's doing better than us.
what? And I'm like, I was so surprised and like looked at it, and he was like, it's really hard sometimes. I was like, why? Like, he was like, you're doing really good right now. 1,500 subscribers on YouTube, and like you're 14. Like you're
And like I'm sure he's probably not
But they're looking
advertising
at buddies
himself.
that are like going
Like,
on
he's-
30K, so
So
they're
he's-
like figuring it out.
So like he's like, I was like, you're doing great. He goes, it gets really hard though. I was like, well, is it because trying to balance like trying to put YouTube content out and like homework and stuff? He goes, no, it's the comments on there are. He's like, there was one day I almost deleted my channel, and like it was over like 5 comments.
You
from his
really gotta
classmates.
grow a thick skin, and it be too.
It broke my heart hearing that because it was from his classmates, and this was his first year like not being homeschooled.
They're just jealous.
What's the
Oh.
sad thing is though,
my gosh.
it's not always the youngest generation though. It's
Yeah.
a lot of the older people.
Oh, yeah.
It is people like my age that are
usually
the
15,
worst
yeah.
people,
They
and
think
it's
it's
because it's not so much the funny thing,
It's the power play.
it's the confidence. it's the confidence thing that the younger generation is coming in hot and heavy. It's a much more understanding generation.
Yeah.
So people don't nitpick looks. They don't nitpick genders. They don't nitpick weight so much. There's a lot of things that they let go compared to what my generation nitpicked to shit.
Yeah.
And they're still kind of shitty. So as they're aging out of, the cosplay and stuff like that, well, they're just being hateful to the younger ones that are coming in when, again, that's not the way you go. You gotta sit there and be a guidance.
Yeah.
That's sure, we're going to be phased out, but you can still be a guidance to how people should act in a community, how to sit there and be a leader, how to sit there and keep kids motivated and keep the community growing.
Yeah. I mean, with social media and the algorithm as it is, it's already hard enough just to exist as a creator online.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that most platforms, you have to be putting out so much content. You have to be.
I have to post every day, or my growing completely stops.
Yeah, you have to be so careful.
11:52.
Yeah,
Don't
it's-
talk politics because you watch your algorithms go.
Yeah, you have to be so
You ruined this video
specific
for him.
about every little detail that you put
Sorry.
out there. It's so hard as is
Yeah.
to add in just everything else that comes with being online. I mean, it can really suck sometimes.
And
it would,
yeah.
it would be really
fully
nice if
stay
that would start to
censored.
mean something
And then they're
to
like,
more people.
can you make sure that everything that you post is professional content, like professional photos? And I'm like, you just asked me to post every day, and you want a professional photo every day. So we need to have 31 professional photos this month. And how do I do that on top of my day job and my auditions?
Yeah.
And like everything else that I do? Oh, and you want me to make new things. Okay. You want me to shoot those new things, and then you want me to post those new things
Hey.
every single
But you get
day.
better algorithms if you do your stories too. So if you keep
Oh,
up
yeah,
a
that's right.
story
I
for
forgot
a
that.
day, then
But
you
you
actually
can't get ad revenue until you reach this level.
Oh, and make sure-
so you can't afford to actually hire a team that would be able to help you with all this stuff.
And make sure that what you
can
post,
pay for some promoted
um,
analytics, but they don't always do good. We can't guarantee anything.
And
but
even then, that costs
we could
enough
run this
after a
enough
while
times.
that that's a whole different level of income.
Yeah, like.
and make sure you
goes-
post on
goes
Instagram
down all the time.
and Facebook and Twitter. Oh, and those should probably
How
not
about
be the
Vero?
same thing.
Have you tried Vero? There's Pinterest too. No,
Oh,
it's
shit.
We
And
worked
you mentioned earlier TikTok. TikTok is a really big cosplay community.
on the thin skin thing.
Yeah.
We worked an event. It was like a mall opening or something, and there was somebody there who was saying like, this guy was leaving disgusting comments, and I was like, I want to see what they are, because
He was dying of curiosity.
So we pulled it up, and it was like.
You look
Well,
so
it
sexy
was like
from
it was
behind
like
Wonder Woman.
no, it was just like, you make such a sexy Wonder Woman, and she like called that guy out, like this guy on my Wonder Woman post, and I was like, maybe this isn't the desired career
I've
path.
seen a couple of weird ones like that too,
Yeah,
where
they just don't
somebody's
understand.
like,
I've seen.
"Whoa, this is sexual harassment." And it's like, "Whoa, what did they say?" I think
I've
what they
seen
said
some
was a compliment.
super bad things. I
like,
get that.
"Oh, look, just don't call you sexy. Okay, cool, got it.
It's weird.
I get like a weird mix because like I play a lot of video games and I really like shooters, specifically like Rainbow Six Siege. I love that game. I think I had like 700 hours in it. Love that game. Like I'll start playing and it's a game
What's
about
it, Ted Clancy?
yeah, Tom Clancy.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Clancy.
And so like I'll sit there and be playing it, but it's really reliant on teamwork because like doing call outs like, hey, this person is there, he hasn't been scanned yet, but we know he's there, he's going through this room on this side, northwest, like north, south, east, west, whatever have you. And so like they'll be playing and like going along and I'm like, I push the talk button, I'm like, hey, by the way, there's this person, second floor, they shot my drone, also this person, cop can't track on this door. Oh my gosh, you're a girl? I'm like, okay, here we go. So it's gonna go one of two ways. Either there's gonna be something funny or something like entirely stupid that I just need to go about my day. And I always get those weird comments of like, whoa, you need to leave her alone, dude. Did he say something I missed? Like, was it in chat? Was it like something else? Like,
Was I being threatened?
I know, I was
Did I
like,
miss
what? He was
something?
like, she deserves to play this game just as much as you. I'm like,
But
what did I
then-
miss?
but all they
Like,
did was
The
acknowledge
people
that you were
defending you
female.
are usually
Yes.
more
Oh,
annoying.
good lord.
or
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna be entertained by what that person was gonna say to me.
Yeah,
I was perfectly fine with it.
Yes.
You have to know the difference between a person that's insulted by a troll and the person
Yeah.
that is totally reading into it.
And like, there's been a couple times where like, I'll be streaming on Twitch and doing it, and I'll have like 6 or 7 people. Like, some guy will start making some weird comments, but like, oh, you're a girl playing video games. Why isn't your computer in the kitchen? Like, what are you doing in here? All this stuff. I'm like, well, my computer's connected to my stove while I'm cooking dinner right now. Like, is this okay with you?
I'm surprised that's
Does it
even
make
like
sense?
a caught off guard thing anymore.
Yeah.
Because now if you
It's
look
so
in the
weird.
gaming industry, like it
It's
started where it would only have like just a couple
Yeah.
women to now if you go into most gaming industries, it is like half women, half
Yeah.
men.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and it is very
and
well
depending on the
balanced nowadays.
genre, I mean, like even like first-person shooters are up to the point where it's like at least
Like a 60-40.
yeah. I mean, it's
I know
not
there was a
that
spike in like
crazy
2008,
anymore.
2009
Yeah.
where women got into the gaming industry, and you know, I was running around at PAX like yearly.
Yeah.
So,
But it's funny to see like the extreme reactions of like, whoa, we need to watch what you say. Like that's really inappropriate for you to say to
Yeah.
her. Like someone was like, you have a really sexy voice. You do call outs. I'm sitting there on my stream going like, what kind of compliment is that? Like I'm making like a really confused face, and the guy's like, you need to keep those comments to yourself, sir. Like that is highly inappropriate in the middle of the game. I was like,
Okay.
what world am I in? Like what?
Yeah, so
see, I prefer
it's
not
super
talking,
weird.
and then I like going and killing a bunch of people, and then I'll talk at the very end, and then it's like, oh, cute, Alpha.
And once again, that's like that's the reason why like it would be really great if like online interactions could start to be viewed as the same thing as face to face. Because how often have you ever in your life in a face to face conversation had somebody actually like you start talking to them and they say, "Oh my gosh, you're a girl? Oh, why aren't you in the kitchen making me a sandwich?" Like honestly.
I probably die laughing.
Or even worse, you know, the ones that try to defend
That
you
has
going,
happened in real life.
"Sir,
I was
sir,
I think I
sir,
so
she is a woman. You should be kind to her. Fuck you." It's like, when does that happen in real life?
Never.
Exactly.
No, but it did happen to me. At
Actually,
Expo, I was
What?
wearing a mask,
Oh
and
yeah.
I
that's right.
pulled up the mask after I got through the doorway to move one of my weapons to go to weapons check, and he goes, "Oh, I would have got the door for you."
What?
If you
makes
knew
you an
I was a
asshole.
chick,
It changes. This changes it.
that interaction happened in real life, and that's like a chat room thing. Like you heard my voice, and you're like, "Oh, I wouldn't have kicked you if I knew you were a girl."
Yeah. It's like,
No, honestly, that's the point where like the pop quizzes happen at cons. Like if you're talking to a real shitty person that would have freaked out about you being a girl online,
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, you like Dragon Ball Z? Well, how about this obscure character
dear
from this
Lord.
one episode?" Or like, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of shit.
Those
Oh my
people.
gosh.
Yeah, it honestly, that, I don't know if that's like an issue about like how they were raised as a kid, or if it is just a generational thing, or if it, you know, whatever it is. I have yet to figure out what that line is that says, if you're on this side of the line, you're gonna be that person, and if you're on this side of the line, you're cool. But whatever it is, I wish somebody could find out what that line was and be able to make it obvious so that people could start to become much more self-aware about that kind of weird shit.
Or like your
Like, it doesn't need to be a
computer
thing.
recognizes words that are bad that you've posted in a bad way, like that have upset people. Like people can put angry faces on your post when you say shitty things, and your IP address is registered with that, and you get like angry points. So like as soon as you post somewhere or enter somewhere, it's like, this is a troll.
I don't want my angry point system. You don't understand how many times I've pissed
You
people
just
off.
can't be
Like,
shitty. You can't be shitty
I'm
on
not
the computer.
shitty.
You get troll points.
But
I will say,
I'm
I
sure
am the
I've
person
said
who
things
thinks
that people
like,
don't
It's okay.
like.
People can vote on your troll
like
points.
yelling at
So-
them.
So we'll figure out
So
how you
here's-
get troll points.
Here's the thing that genuinely surprises me.
And you can get anti-troll points by being good too.
And I will
So
actually.
do enough good things to be mean to little people.
This is going to be shocking to
Calm.
all gamers everywhere, but the one thing that EA has actually done that somehow that all of social media hasn't figured out,
Somalian.
I know.
You can't troll.
I'm
in
really
Somalian.
waiting to hear where you go with this.
United enemy for people to hate.
The few times I actually had the opportunity to be able to play video games, which sadly isn't that often, I am a big fan of the Old Republic. It's a grind fest. It can be repetitive as hell, but
I
it's
didn't know
Star
there was
Wars.
grinding in that game.
I love it. In that game, EA has actually implemented an option in there where in the chat you can actually have the chat censored for inappropriate comments in inappropriate language.
Yo, yeah.
The fact that EA can do the thing that social media doesn't give you the option for. Like, if you know for a fact, I'm offended by inappropriate language, I'm offended by cursing, I'm offended by whatever, the fact that social media can't give you the option to filter like foul language, but EA of all the companies out there can
I just
give
want
you
a
that.
Trump filter.
That's
so
surprising to
if
me.
his name is in there, I don't
It plays
see
it
it.
like a cat.
And like even that,
That's a
like
thing?
Chrome.
I need that.
Chrome
I didn't know that was a
has
thing.
built extensions
that
that you
so
can
much
add
in my life.
to filter out certain things from like searches or whatever.
Not here.
Where like
Yeah, but
my
we're
favorite
search filter.
my favorite search filter that I found as an extension, and this tickled me to no end. There's an extension you can get for Chrome that filters out everything Kardashian. Not even kidding.
That's
I love it.
hilarious.
Like it will go and it will automatically block every comment, every website, everything that says Kardashian in it. It will keep it from coming up on Chrome for
I
you,
bet they're
social
proud
media or
of that.
otherwise.
Beautiful.
It's amazing. The fact that Chrome can do that,
Yeah.
the fact that EA can do that,
Yeah, somebody
but
had to make a freaking
but like
software
Facebook,
to block
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that doesn't have the
Right.
ability to be able to block that stuff. That
They have the
surprises me.
ability to. They don't want to. Because that's it. People enjoy having that freedom. What do you think okay, if you want to come across like some of the worst people, this is what Matthew even ran by me. We had this conversation the other day. If you want to come across some of the worst people, worst comments, just go play on Twitter.
Oh, dear Lord.
Twitter is like one of the
I
worst
just
places in the
covered porn
world.
the
Twitter
other
is
It is
garbage
like,
fire.
On Twitter, it's sort by controversy.
I didn't know there was
YouTube.
porn.
yeah, there's,
Pretty
and
bad.
it's
Full of the
I
best
think
of
that's
the
more now that Tumblr shut down.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a
Everybody's
thing.
Tumblr.
Somebody liked one of my photos and I was like, oh my god, I gotta see this, I gotta go like their stuff. And then I opened it and I was like, no, I don't. I do not have to like that.
Like the fact that we even have
It
to
was
deal.
scary.
The fact that we even have to deal with the
I didn't
idea
know.
that
New.
any social media platform, we have to deal with like the idea that the comment section of this platform or that platform is a genuine garbage fire. The fact that that is a
Endless
thing
garbage
that you
fire.
don't have the option to just turn off and say, look, I know they're trolls. I want to go ahead and automatically filter from what I can see. I don't necessarily want to filter from what everybody else can see, but I want to filter what I can see, the things that are deemed as language about PG-13
That's your
or
point.
whatever. The fact that you can't do that is absurd, because especially when this year and last year you have more news outlets that have come out saying, talking about the harm that like cyberbullying has caused, or the harm that online communication has caused. The fact that that is not something that more people, more companies have even attempted to implement as just, hey, here's a gimme. For everybody can play it, we want this to be a free speech area, but if you don't want it, here's a freaking gimme. Fine, take it. I'm offended that you want it, but take it. The fact that it's not even a thing
Take it, Ron.
is weird. Like, come on, EA isn't complimented for anything,
And they shouldn't be.
but I got one thing. Come on.
I'd rather get paid to work for EA.
Trying to talk, you just get.
I mean, that's personal. But no, I think there's a good solid future in a lot of this too. But I think people need to also be aware that they can also choose their audiences.
Sure.
And you can have a little bit of control of who your audience is and who trolls you. When we post, listen, when we post certain things, we know what we're we're about to invite and what we're about to get.
Oh yeah. You
So,
know what you're inviting, and you know if you want to grow
and
fast,
so,
you're gonna invite a certain kind of
And
friend.
thing is, like, yeah, you're gonna post
True.
a picture with tits. Hey, Brad's laying it out. We're gonna expect
They get
that
shares
there's gonna be
after.
a couple of boys out there that can't keep their shit together.
A
No, like
couple.
I was
Okay, so a lot.
I was wearing like a
The
tank top.
thing
It wasn't
is,
even a super
though,
low cut.
when
It
you
was like
post something like
boobs.
that, know that you are
Yes, I have them. Thank you for noticing.
inviting certain
We're looking
comments.
for 'em.
Yeah.
If you don't want those,
Can we see
don't
it?
post
I appreciate that Instagram asks for my permission before it shows me a picture or a video from someone that I haven't talked to before.
I do too.
I appreciate that it asks me, because if they have sent me anything that is not a legitimate question that like refers to what I do, and it's followed by a picture or video, I already know it's a penis. It's so nice.
Yep.
I see so much less dicks on
So
Instagram. Pardon me.
For
Right,
us, so it actually does go both
Sorry.
ways.
We were like, it's a penis. It's so nice. I was like,
No,
call me there or
No, it's so nice that I see less
Yeah.
on
yes.
Instagram.
Just
So it actually does go both ways. Like for us,
You get those dick pics? I know, I'm sorry.
no,
can't
so,
get it, like just too many to.
Lars was
So-
feeling it that day.
so like one out of
I didn't ask for those, ma'am or sir.
You thank me later.
so like one out of 50.
I mean, when I wanted to see them, yes.
1 out of 50 DMs that we get on Instagram for our channel is like
Somebody going, hi!
somebody that we don't know, and it always asks us, do you want to accept this? And I'm just like, okay, I have no idea who this is, but it could be a viewer. Cool, we'll check it out.
I'm
And
so glad that you see those before I do,
Yeah.
because I would just have, I would get in so much
I'll
trouble
go.
with those.
I'll say, okay, preview message, and 99% of the time, whenever it says, do you want to preview this message, it's a link to.
Thanks, bot.
It's a link to a campsite, it's a link to a porn site, it's a link to whatever.
Well, damn it! Now I need to see those before you do.
Instagram's totally lame. Come check me out this
Mike's like,
Yes,
I will work so much
or
more.
my favorite that is, we've gotten like the last 5 that have come up for us is a picture of some random girl in like the thinnest thing that you could quantify as a bikini, saying, hey, do you think this twerk is right, or what about this? And it has a link to a campsite, and you're going, I'm getting a virus if I click on this, aren't I?
But
Like,
would it be worth it?
Yeah, we
I get that.
Yeah.
There's always
I do. Well, I think it's because I retweet Jessica Neary sometimes. So
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, maybe
Yeah.
she's into that. Which, yes, she is beautiful. But
Yes.
either way,
But-
from either
but-
party,
but, I
not
mean,
looking for that on
Back
the
to
cosplay
the
page.
back to the
Yeah.
Pornhub searches. Where's the romance in that?
Well, you would never know if you don't click the link.
It's the fourth message.
The man's got a point.
It's the
You,
fourth
this
message
is
you
how
get
you're
out of 10.
missing your romance.
Yeah. So so the 4th out of every 10 I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
I like the whole, hey, this is linked to your main account. If I'm gonna share this everywhere with your name on it, unless you send me $20.
So, like,
Cool.
it's so
Can't wait to see what I post later.
it's so weird the kind of stuff that just comes out there that, like, whether it's trolls, it's spam, or it's just people that legitimately do not understand that online communication
What
is
about
still
teens from
communication
Africa with my
people.
descendants?
No, princes.
Never the
King's
king's
got
above
shit
that.
together.
The king's
Yeah.
above it. The prince is not.
He has access to his money already.
Prince already has his social security number.
needs my
Prince
help.
needs yours.
Although, okay, in regards to that, I will say there are a couple comedians out there that I genuinely love because their whole shtick is they go and they actually respond to all those kind of
Yes.
comments or emails, and they try to push it out to the point where whoever's trying to spam them with those emails or comments, like, finally gives up.
My favorite's the IRS fraud guys whenever they
Yeah.
get harassed.
Like, there's one guy.
So you want me to pay my $80,000 in back taxes and $20,000 worth of Target gift cards? Yeah, that seems legit.
Like there's one British
Make it all
comedian that I genuinely love who like took one of those those Nigerian prince scammers to the point where they were finally responding to him saying, "Okay, sir, it's clear that you're not going to give us any money. We don't actually have any time to spend on you anymore. Please stop emailing us.
Leave us alone.
Please stop emailing us. We
email
can't deal with you anymore. Please stop. Good day. No. Good day, sir.
I say good day, sir.
It's amazing, but still, those people that have that kind of sense of humor are few and far between, and everybody else, you just have to go, okay, either everybody online has to agree that online communication is still personal communication, or there needs to be some option out there that allows people that don't want to deal with that bullshit to not have to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think all of us in this room have gotten used to it at this point. We accept that it exists, it sucks, but it exists.
I think a lot of us use it for business purposes, though.
Yeah.
And we have to be okay with it. As much as I would happily take a month off from social media, and I think I'd totally be okay, I depend on it for my marketing.
Bank account
my rent won't pay itself, so keep marketing.
You guys, more than we will ever have to deal with. The art, the body art that you do, and the cosplay modeling that you do, the stuff that that you guys have to encounter. I know we will never have to deal with that.
But don't sell yourself short, Brad. I mean, some guy may want to Google you on the interwebs.
I mean,
You're doing yourself. Sell yourself short.
We heard about some shoots you did back in the day.
Actually, I did, but that's neither here.
He did. I was there. I saw way too much.
I heard about your
Actually,
last
so true story.
Wait, but now we have time to bring up.
Yes, actually, this is totally the time. So, true story. After college, I was offered by. So I used to train competitive ballroom dancing. Seriously, that was a thing. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with it.
The entire of the room. Suddenly shifted to Brad.
But in that time, I never actually had the chance to compete. I trained in competitive, but I never had the chance to compete because I had trouble trying to find a consistent partner. But in that time, I met a lot of people. That one of them got me into
the whole time.
You can't dance.
Your salsa is off, man.
One of them
My knees are off.
introduced me to runway modeling. And so I started modeling for her and her charity. It was great. Marsha, if you ever see this video, I doubt you will, but if you do, I love you. You were amazing, and your charity work is incredible. So she has this charity called Fashions for a Cure.
How do you spell that?
So it's fashion. I think it's Fashions for a Cure, where it's an annual runway show that's done for cancer charity funds. Great stuff. But from that, I got introduced to a few designers that I ended up doing runway stuff for, and one of those guys, a Fort Worth designer, I did some shows for. I did some modeling for, and then with my photography, I did double duty as photographer and model with him and another buddy of mine working as assistant
I had
and
to retire those years, and you're bringing them back up.
Where that actually included a Scarlet red loincloth.
He's not exaggerating.
Cool.
It's a fucking loincloth.
And a lot of other things that what was
Other things.
that was well before Sarah.
What other things on the photo?
And when the loincloth got wet, he might as well have been wearing nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing at
Yeah,
all.
so
He walked out of that pool, and I was like, holy shit.
So there was a shoot. So there was a shoot that we did. There was a shoot that we did. I can't say the guy's name, but it was at the house of a former Texas Ranger who was friends with this designer that let us do a full photo shoot at his house with the full modeling team. And I was one of the ones that was out by the poolside that involved jumping in with a loincloth to the pool, and it was a thing.
I like how the look on his face
If I remember
is like
right,
you
this
can't
was
get
in
rid of the image.
March.
April. I think it was April.
Yeah.
You
April.
told me there was a chance it was still freezing cold outside.
Yes.
So it could have been cold, could have been hot.
So it was like just past the point where
It wasn't cold when Brad got out of that pool, I tell you.
So yes, Mike, the loving friend. that
Softer. There we go.
You have to get the beard
he
going.
he was playing assistant for all this, and was enduring every bit of it. Which the second my clothes came off, his awkward levels went through the roof.
I was like, what the hell's happening?
And yeah, so there was definitely some modeling that happened that he prefers never to remember. It did happen.
It's okay.
That did
It's okay.
led to a runway show in a bar in San Antonio where I came out in the same loincloth and was
So
grown.
many times with this loincloth. You're just
It was a
married to
popular item.
Not for me!
Favorite outfit.
By the way, I forgot to
His
mention,
favorite outfit.
I was the only white guy in this entire crew. Like it was a black designer, all black cast,
Give him a
except for
loincloth.
me.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah.
by the
He's got
way,
a couple different
It was
loincloths.
a
So he has other
loincloth.
outfits to wear because
Which-
clearly he's just got the one Scarlet
Which,
loincloth.
by the way, it
No,
is
it was Fire Engine Red.
a very
That thing behind
unique
you, right
experience.
That yes.
It is a very
Is that
unique
the very
experience.
loincloth?
No, it's right there.
We
Yeah.
come out
Yeah.
with one guy, with the first guy in front of you, in like full trunks. You know, he's able to come out, and he's like, okay, yeah.
He said one guy in full trunks, and
I come out
Yeah.
with
I know.
purple hair,
like a
cloth,
school kid just came out.
as
and like,
the only white guy in this thing, and multiple shows, but especially the bar, having cat calls from the audience of white chocolate.
Yep.
Oh
least
my
healthy
gosh. And then being slapped on the ass and groped as I'm walking through the bar.
You got a hashtag me too?
Yeah.
Look at you.
But
Why is that a good thing?
by the way, being groped in loincloth in a bar in San Antonio by
Did you go get
dear Lord,
yourself tested
at least
afterwards?
5 or 6 different women.
Exactly. Like, did you go get yourself tested afterwards?
I thought about it. But it's a very unique experience. But the most interesting experience,
It's an experience that I'll never share with you.
this was my genuine favorite, bar none, for that charity.
The bar
For that charity, the cancer charity that I did the show for. The one clock came up again.
I like how he keeps bringing up, it was for a cancer charity, so that we feel like shitty people for
The
laughing.
median age in the audience,
Already supposed to feel better about this.
like
charity.
the median age in the audience was 45.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them cougars.
There were at least 50 to 60% of the audience was like 60, 70-year-old females. Getting
those
catcalled by 60 and 70-year-old females in a Fire Engine Red loincloth
How'd you feel?
well, I mean, they're the ones buying
in
the
a
tires.
DoubleTree Hotel ballroom.
How'd you feel?
It was
Those
a
are the
very
classiest
interesting
of ballrooms,
experience.
after all.
The best part was though, the last show I did where the most catcalling happened, if I remember correctly, was
Every room he walked
the
in
one
was a
and
ballroom.
only show that Sarah ever witnessed me do early on when we were dating. So she got to witness.
She made it just in time.
She was
Yeah,
like,
she
well, I
she
guess
has
done
she
the
has
Lord's
done
job.
this. A room full of mature black women yelling, "Yeah, white chocolate, come on!" To me, in like their Sunday best.
And they all sounded.
And it was like I loved it, but as soon as like I got to the end of the runway, looked over, my parents and my girlfriend at the time were in the audience,
And their
I
faces
looked
were as
over
red as that
at Sarah
loincloth.
and going, "Oh, that's a thing." It was a
Did you
very
not know they were
sobering
there?
experience. No, I did, but like when
You
you're
didn't
up,
think about it.
when you're up on there and the spotlights are on you, you don't realize till you can see the audience that, oh yeah, I have people I know in the audience with me.
Yep.
It's a very different thing.
I was there too, by the way.
It's a
Yes,
reality.
he was actually. He was helping out with that one.
I have screwed up and invited people to events that I was doing before I thought about what I was doing at the event. And then I got there and was like, shut. Everybody's gonna
I'm
forget about
barely wearing
that.
clothing. This might get awkward.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this thing and you guys are gonna love it when it's done. And then I go do the thing and I'm like, oh my god, I cannot tell anybody you're showing me this. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, I already did. Oh man.
Yep.
Speaking
Oh
of, can you
man.
bring up,
They're all out there waiting. Oh man.
this video?
So,
Yeah,
First
pretty great.
question.
Oh, I want to answer that last question though.
so that's what you would want to
In-
go
in-
away in
in-
2019 is what we learned? That 40
That's
minute
the longest answer ever.
It was.
So the thing of 2018 that we wanted to go on forever.
Yes. Okay. So
The red loincloth.
The red
now that we
loincloth.
hit
I do have
probably
an
the
answer.
longest
I got an
tangent of the
Been
freaking
waiting
night.
forever. I've forgotten it.
Does it
3
really
times.
have an answer?
I do. Forgot
It
it.
does have a different answer than what we've already hit.
Yes.
Please, I'm begging you.
Red loincloths, they're just, I see them too often.
That's his thing. Alright.
I'm gonna dream about it tonight, or have a
In
nightmare.
order
No, it's gonna be a
to
nightmare.
avoid naming certain conventions I would like to not happen next year. Yeah,
That's
you know. Yeah, I think that just the view of cosplay guests should change in general because a lot of conventions don't respect it at all. I think that cons need to think about what they want the cosplay guest for before they accept the guest. And yes, I get that a lot of cons, cosplay guesting is pretty new, so it's new to both sides. And it's some responsibility to the model, but it's also some responsibility to the con. Because just like with any other guest, you're hosting them essentially. But I know I don't want to ask for too much in the con either because it's something that we wanted to do that wasn't happening before. So it's completely new. But there's a lot of cons where they accept having a cosplay guest because we offered, but they don't really know why they wanted us there. And there's not like a clear initiative for it. And what I mean by that is their expectations can be very vague. So they're upset that we're sitting at the table too much,
Oh, shit, the party's about to start.
Or not enough.
or they're upset that we haven't brought in enough foot traffic, or just these different things. Well, it's tough for us to guarantee foot traffic for one. And if you're having trouble marketing the con to get it out there, it's probably hard for us too, because we're both doing the same thing across social media, I feel like. And then, like, if you're upset that we're sitting at the table and you wanted us up and walking around, then we need to know that, because those are different things to be prepared for.
In other words, if you're going to start a convention and you're going to bring on guests, like have a lineup of like what panels you want us to help with, or do you want us to partake in costume contests, or it's simple things like that. You could send a simple email before everybody even shows up to the con and everybody's on the same page. And a lot of the models and everybody has done this before, and they can take their own lead as long as they have a little bit of guidance, but you have to give them a little bit of guidance.
Yeah, and I want the expectations to be realistic, because there are some cosplays that are very complicated with the props, contacts in general. A lot of the colored contacts, not supposed to have in my eyes longer than like 6-7 hours.
And they only last so many times.
And you want me there at 10 a.m. and you want your con to go till 7 p.m. I can't be in cosplay for 9 hours. Especially with some of my props, they'll literally like injure me. So there's things like that I need to be prepared for. Like, do you want me there for photo ops? Do you want me walking around the con? Do you want me to just be at my booth? Do you want me to do panels? Do you want me to judge? Because I need to have that functionality to whatever I'm putting on that day to get to the con. But I just want like the expectations between the cosplay guests and the convention to be realistic, and to also understand that like we're there as a guest essentially too. And not only that, we're usually not paid. we're not guaranteed any amount of anything from being there, and it does cost us to be there.
So your table time is actually where all the money comes from.
Right.
So if you can't monitor your table and you're pulled away for random panels last minute and you have nobody to watch over your table, well, there's an hour or two that you're not getting to sell anything, so you're not making any money.
Yeah.
And that's also another problem that I've had happen at cons, where last minute it was like, oh, you're supposed to do this panel, this panel, this panel, and you're like, great, I don't have anybody watching my table.
Even if you have somebody watching your table as a cosplay guest, you're not going to sell prints when you're
No,
not
because
there.
they want your autograph. They want to
Yeah,
interact
exactly.
with
And
the
they
person
usually want
in
a
the
photo with
pictures.
you. That's why
they
you're
don't want your
cosplay.
boyfriend.
And even if you have like pre-autographed photos, it's not the same thing as if you autograph
Getting
it
it
in
from
front
you.
of them. Yeah, like
I wouldn't order a pre-autographed photo from my cosplayer.
well,
Come
and like
on. They're not even the one in the movie or whatever. Like if I'm getting an autograph photo from a cosplayer, it's not that I don't do that, I do that. I want to meet them, and I want to talk to them, and I want to see what they have to share with me. I don't want to meet their booth babe, and I don't want to do something that's already signed,
supporting them.
and I want it personalized, usually with something funny, but that's just me.
well, so like one of the few cosplay autographs that we've actually gotten, both of us, is Meg Turney. And, you know, she was so great to be able to meet in person, but it was definitely the kind of experience that if it wasn't her personally, it wouldn't have been the same thing.
Yeah.
Like if it was the person running her booth while she was out at a Q&A panel or just on break or whatever, it would not have been the same experience as if, you know, we got the chance to meet her, talk to her, get her autograph while we're talking to her.
But we talked to her for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and
Like,
by the way,
sweet.
in terms of cosplayers that have made like a worldwide name for themselves, Meg Turney is definitely one of the ones like up there with Jessica Nigri that in terms of the fan experience, she is great about it. But like then you have the flip side of the equation where like with Marla, where if you're the cosplayer at the booth and you're not at the booth at the time that somebody else is, if for even like a second that person that's made the booth isn't watching, isn't like quite as attentive as they could be or as you would have been, then somebody could take offense to the fact that you personally are not at your table at that exact moment when they came over, and they could try to do something to punish you, like in Marla's case, taking
Stealing
her
your
entire
outfit.
booth and
Wipe
you know, her in not safe for work.
In a sub W
Which,
like binder.
By the way, shitty move. Seriously, don't do that kind of stuff. It's not okay. But like,
Because those costs, I think a lot of people don't understand what money goes into our prints.
yeah.
Because we don't necessarily, like, we're not printing them ourselves at home, most of us. I mean, maybe if we were smart. I'm kidding. I just haven't invested in a printer yet. Lars! Well, Lars is gonna start making my prints. Anywho, we put a lot of money and time into those. I mean, I have been bad about it recently, ordering them in time,
Everything's
but
an
we wait a couple
investment.
weeks to get all of our prints in, and we get specialty things made, and
Banners and postcards and bookmarks and then...
And maybe it's hard for us to find those high-resolutional photos that we need to get them printed, to get them reordered, and then we have to have more time to get them to come in.
Plus, you're
and
supposed to
everything.
be making
So,
new cosplay
not only is
and
it
have
process-
new pictures all the time, so you have to make these new costumes all the time, which
Yeah.
also is just so cheap.
Yeah, so
Sarcasm.
stealing something like that, it's very stressful because it's not super easy for us to replace all the merch. We kind of mark photos when we run out of them, and we literally don't even know like what was in there.
Okay, so I will
So-
say, if I haven't actually mentioned it in any of our videos or any of our live streams before, before Mike and I started this show, my background is photography. I started in photography back like straight out of college. I've had a chance to do a lot of things with it, but because of that, I had a chance to learn a lot about the business of photography. And one of the things that I found out about photography is how expensive prints are. And if you want to make the prints yourself, if you want to make prints yourself, it is insanely expensive per print. If you outsource those prints to somebody else, like a third-party printer, you can.
She's doing it through your Facebook page instead of the Dallas Geek one.
Oh dear Lord.
God damn it, Brad.
I'll fix it later. But like, yeah, like there is no.
I don't know what to say. It's fine.
So apparently,
no, I'll go ahead and
going on
forward
Brad's
Brad.
Reddit instead of people.
So apparently, I figured out we're informed that we've been live streaming from my personal Facebook.
So should I live
rather
stream
than
from my
page.
phone?
Wherever
it is.
But
Yeah,
we
I
are, so we're live streaming from our channel Facebook, YouTube, but my personal Facebook.
God, you're like,
So did you share it? You're like, we're actually over here.
it's such a good thing that you're pretty.
Glad somebody showed up.
Which would explain why we aren't getting as many comments on the live stream on Facebook.
Oopsie.
My bad.
You want to go fix that real quick?
Yeah, well, yeah.
While he's doing that, I'm just gonna kind of wrap up what I was sort of touching on. I just
Whatever.
want
I'll deal
the
with it.
relationship between cosplay
It
guests
is
and
fun.
conventions to be 100% mutual.
Yes.
A good understanding before the person gets there. Who's providing what and what is expected. Just because I've had so many cons this year, which, to be fair, I didn't know what I was doing. I've been asked so many more questions in 2019. So many more questions. Or maybe just kind of preemptive, a lot of them. And have, like, you know, a resume and my general shit together. But, beyond that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't be an
So,
adult.
I'm gonna adult next year. At least that's the plan.
Don't do it, it's a trap,
Not
it's a
100%
trap.
of the time. But there was just a lot of cons where I got there, and there was just a ton of confusion on like where we were gonna be, and like if you're gonna have a cosplay guest, you gotta have them in a place that makes sense, where there's gonna be foot traffic for that kind of thing. Like if you
Hey,
have props people are posing with, probably put the
logic.
cosplayers there because they like to take pictures with people. That's why we're in cosplay.
Yeah.
You, like she was saying, make sure that they are at their table sometimes, because I did a couple of cons where I wasn't there at all because they had me doing all these other things.
You didn't get to make any
And
money.
I didn't realize till the con was over, like, it was actually pretty fun running around doing stuff. I preferred it to sitting at the table the whole time, but I was never there. And I had a bunch of people that were like, were you actually at the con? Because they just happened to not go to the panels that I was in.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I guess I need to have a mix there. Oops.
Always.
So stuff like that. So I'm definitely gonna work on having my own panels written out that I want to do. Because sometimes when I just agree to do a con for a panel for a con, and like they say that they've got it all set up, they just want me to go run it. Probably don't. So because they have a lot of other things to do. Like I understand.
Yeah.
I just now
It's good
have
to
the
have
knowledge
2
to
or
be
3
prepared next
panels.
year.
Yeah, you know, you have literally 2 to 3 different panels that of different things that you can offer, whether it's conversation pieces, whether it's like education on certain costume making, or I mean, there's 50 million things you can do. Just pick a few categories and perfect it.
And be ready
And
to
you're
do
set, yeah.
those panels.
So yeah, like, and that's the thing. You guys put so much money in the cosplay. You guys put so much effort into cosplay. But the reality is,
I put more money into cons than cosplays this year, and I'm sad.
yeah, and like the reality is when you
Sure.
go to conventions, when you're invited as a guest to a convention, yeah, there does need to be a certain understanding within the convention hierarchy of if you're bringing a cosplayer as a guest to the convention, are you bringing them in as a guest, like a guest for the convention? Or are you bringing them in as a member of the convention, like to moderate a panel or to
Entertain.
to entertain.
Pretty much a weird filler.
And that
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie about it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
sugarcoat it.
Like that-
We
that-
are filler in between like other film guests, movie
Yeah.
guests, and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
like and there is, from a convention standpoint, from a business standpoint, there is a benefit to bringing in cosplayers as the entertainers, as well as the guests, like guests proper. But there does need to, as you pointed out very clearly, there does need to be a clear line that's understood by most of the conventions as to where that separation is.
Yeah.
Are you gonna are you gonna have a cosplayer as like strictly entertainer that's gonna be going from panel to panel to panel? Are you gonna have them as strictly a guest that people can come up to and go to the table? Are you gonna have them as a half and a half?
Are you going to host them at all? Because if you arrive and you see that there's a convention inside a building, and you go in and you go, oh, where's my booth? And they go, oh, let's go outside. This dirty parking spot.
And that
And I say,
Good day to you, sir.
well,
I feel
you
like
see.
you didn't just pull this scenario out of your ass.
Oh no.
Well, you see.
I feel like maybe this happened.
This was a con that she and Charlotte were at that I actually remember Charlotte live streaming about and watching both of them like sunburn throughout the
We
day.
blistered. We have.
Like
I still have
hard
a strange
sunburn.
tan line
Hard
in a
sunburn.
place that we won't talk about.
No,
That
no,
I
no.
had to make up all year for my photos.
There are no boundaries on this. Please, by all means, let's talk about it. Okay. But wait, no.
Anywho.
But for real though,
Um,
they put you guys outside.
Oh yeah.
We were
oh,
like,
yeah.
we drove
Oh,
a
I
while.
will
Let's see what
finish.
this is about.
I will finish this story. So, here's your spot. I'm sorry, what? And they just ghosted out of there. And I was like, did this just happen?
Was it all of the cosplayers, or was it?
Yeah, I was just the first one there.
Hold on. They didn't understand what a cosplay guest was.
They didn't.
They thought a
That's not a
cosplay-
guest. That's a volunteer.
They thought that a cosplay guest was somebody who
Was
was
a vendor.
going to show up in cosplay. So anybody who showed up in
Oh, yeah, there
cosplay,
was
they
that.
gave them a little badge at the cosplay guest.
Stop.
So they had like 20 people.
Stop it.
Anybody who showed up in costume.
Yeah, that's true. Because whenever they saw Charlotte's video, they said none of our other cosplay guests were upset. And they said they were all upset. I talked to all the cosplay guests, and they said we had 27 cosplay guests. I said, no, you didn't. And they were like, yeah, we did. We had 27 people show up in cosplay.
That's not the same thing.
So again, clarity. Next, like moving forward,
So
I
is that
do
a-
so much more research.
So
and so
as
more
a clear
questions.
definition, a cosplay guest is a person who is a cosplayer by profession or hobby that has been invited to come to a convention, have a table, and is
what I'm doing right
being
now.
treated like a vendor. That is a cosplay guest.
Oh, you're in costume.
A
Here's your badge.
person that is paid tickets that attends a convention in cosplay is somebody who is simply attending your convention in cosplay. There's a difference. I'm sorry if that was unclear.
so yeah, it was an interesting time.
Yeah.
I guess I don't have to explain the rest of it.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Well, so
Charlotte was 100% correct if you want to watch her.
So this convention actually happened back when, like early on when we had become friends with Charlotte. We were starting to become friends with you, but we hadn't really gotten as deep as we are today.
Friend is a little strong, but I mean,
For you.
alright, that's great.
And so like I'm
He
watching
doesn't
her.
like anybody.
No, he really doesn't. Like
I just tolerate a lot of
he
people.
he tolerates me. He can
Gotcha.
stand her. The rest
Someday.
of the rest of y'all, he acknowledges your existence.
You get on my good side now because when I take over,
Oh.
take over everything.
How are you planning on taking over?
Just wait.
But so like I was watching
Also,
Charlotte's Instagram stories, and she's going on like
She's the only
like 1 hour going. Okay, so this convention, I've moved now for like the second time today. I've moved now for the third time today. And oh, by the way, that Scarlet Muse cosplay behind me, we're both like severely sunburning right now. She has a little bit more shade than I do, but not really. If we're being honest. And like by the end of the day, she was streaming like, okay, so we just finished the cosplay contest, which I literally found out about like 2 minutes before it started. They asked me to be a judge, and I'm like, Okay, that's a thing. Erica, I think Erica has peaced out at this point because she
I can see Erica also being like, no, you got it.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
She found out about it 10 minutes before me because I said, Charlotte, I can't move anymore. There's a blister under my lanyard. Can you do the cosplay contest? I'm gonna go home.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back tomorrow.
I'm going to not be here.
You know where I went? KamehaCon, and I had the time of my life.
And the best part was
Sunburned and everything.
the best part was she's going in with her stories like, so okay, I'm on day 2. Erica has definitely just left, which is fine. I'm by myself. But if I'm being,
I can also see her being like, guys, I'm so alone.
but if I'm being honest, I've driven like an hour to get out here. Stop for coffee.
She had to get up
I need
and
more coffee. I don't have enough coffee. Please send help.
No. They didn't even
But
are you serious?
but there's a plus
They
one
didn't even clean the
today.
parking space.
They moved me inside.
It was full of trash.
Hallelujah. I'm not in the sun.
Cigarette
And then by the end of the day,
Hold on.
she's putting on her story, okay, I'm inside, but like oh dear Lord. I
she's
just
even
wasn't
more
given a
defeated
table
than being
today. I'm like, I had to scour
A
the
child
entire video to
magician
find my own
kicked us out of the
table, and
storefront we were
like,
in.
Stop.
I'm
We wanted in the shade, and
exhausted.
he said, "This is
I
my
have
spot."
like one person to come by my table all day and like just kill me now.
Okay, so one, Charlotte, kudos.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, she endured so much.
I would have been like, peace out, Girl
Like,
Scout.
I would
you
say
have
that I
your shit
respect her
together,
more as a
I'm
person.
out.
I just don't respect her, period.
She was actually really nice.
But
She
it's
was
out of love.
surprisingly nice about it. But
You could kick his ass later.
no, my highlight of the whole thing was the very next day. I was like, do I say anything about this? I don't know. And I just posted about my sunburn
Please tell me
and
you
like
did.
some random stuff, and then he started a bunch of and I just blocked him and like deleted all of it. It was real stupid. He started talking about like fake boobs and a bunch of random stuff that had nothing to do. I just complained about my sunburn. That's all I did. I was as nice as humanly possible about how terrible that experience was. But my favorite thing was when I went to her page, and there was a picture of her on the curb under an umbrella with her photo book. Come by my booth and see me at this con.
No, she didn't.
Because
Oh, that is great.
the fuck?
Really? We don't have.
No.
Look at my booth. Come by my friends.
Like sitting by a ditch, like.
She was
Are you
under her
ready, sir?
umbrella.
Can I have some more?
Like, how like a cardboard, like,
Yeah.
Prince, $30.
Are we down, Brad?
Please.
Brad, are we down?
Peanut bottle.
I like to eat today.
I don't know.
Nine.
Yeah.
No, his impression of Charlotte was probably the best thing I've seen.
I just love
God,
that.
like, fucking point.
Because it was so true. It was so true.
Being a
So,
trooper.
in the long run, like we ended up with a vendor nearby because I was like, I drove 2.5 hours. I don't want to just turn around and drive home. Like I could be in Austin
That's
right now.
insane, though.
I could be in Austin. I love Austin. But
But, like, how do they?
I'm in wherever I am. I'm not gonna name it. But so I was like gonna turn around and leave. But I was like really upset.
Okay.
And then
I think you should do
this
Google
girl
it.
goes,
2.5
I've got
hour
2
drive
extra
north,
card
south, east,
card
and
tables,
west.
and I said okay. And so she gave me the 2 extra card tables for me and Charlotte, which was awesome. And then I was like getting sunburned, so I was looking for sunblock. And after I finally asked enough people, this one girl gave me this little like pink lace parasail,
Oh.
and I was like under that because I'm dressed as Peach from
Oh, it
or no,
actually
Daisy.
worked.
Daisy. We were
Yeah.
Daisy and sorry, we were Daisy and Luigi. That's what we were from Mario.
Wait,
Because
Charlotte was the lead? Oh, I'm kidding.
you're so funny.
Keep up, dude.
Hey,
Keep
hey.
up.
Actually,
Relax.
Charlotte was Misty, so she ended up with a blister strip on her stomach with suspender stripes, and so she still had a tan line right here. She had stripes, but it was a nice contour for her stomach for the rest of the year. And I had this weird, because I had a lanyard and a low-cut Daisy dress.
Yeah.
I had the lanyard design, so it looked like the stripes that come from the sun between the clouds.
But so, like, I
It was
guess
just like on my chest for
how do
ever.
they screw that up so bad?
I don't know. There's some cons though. Dude,
Hold on.
I
So-
went out to Colorado and we had our sponsors bailed. After we did the entire con, we got our hotel, We did like all 3 days.
What?
And when we went to our sponsors to get our money so we could pay out our hotel room and get everything like that, couldn't get our gas money, nothing. Like literally we were scraping like boyfriends' bank accounts and cards so we could even get the gas to get home from Colorado because our sponsors ditched out
What the
after
hell?
we were fully there. And literally as we were driving in town, like I think we hit like Colorado Springs, we're like, hey, we're like in the area, you wanna like run us the cash so we can sit there and go get everything? He's like, don't worry about it, I'll call it in, I'll come meet you guys at the con like 10 a.m. I'll be at you guys' table. Yeah, no, we kept going through every con day, never saw our sponsor. And literally we had to scrape funds just to get home.
Yeah.
Hell.
And that was like and granted, like the Colorado Comic Cons are some of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we left so broke. Like I literally bought 2 prints and I think I bought a bunch of edibles and I was like, who wants to buy edibles? And selling off the prints that I just bought and had autographed because we didn't have money to get home.
That sucks.
So, if you're gonna sponsor a cosplayer, don't leave them ditched in another state either.
Fun stuff. Yeah, no, that owner of that con, 2 hours into it, finally somebody tracked him down. Like they literally couldn't find him. Like he just like put me there in that parking spot and then disappeared.
Yep.
So 2 hours into it, I finally find this guy, and I'm like livid because I don't understand the situation.
So.
But I'm not that type of person because I work at the cheerleading company, and I am cheering no matter what phone call I take. Even if you want me to know if your players are wearing certain clothes to the game, and I would have no fucking clue.
Sometimes you gotta defend yourself.
But I was
Sometimes
like-
you just gotta flip that ass.
I was like, hey, so
You wanna
I
get shit done?
go, hey,
Mine's broken in the on
Yeah,
position.
beautiful.
I have a big switch.
I go, Mike,
Okay.
Mike, I go, hey,
Doesn't go like that.
so I'm really confused because like I wasn't told that there was no table or coverage or like I wasn't told that I needed to bring any of these things to even be prepared for this. And he goes,
So what all were you told to bring?
he goes, nothing. No, he goes,
Nothing.
it was
Not even
in,
a costume.
he goes, it was in the fine
Just show
print of your contract that you signed the other day. This is what happened. They messaged me that contract after, like months after the like guessing at the con was discussed. They messaged me the contract and said if we don't have it back tonight, we can't actually host you. We need the contract back tonight. And I'm at work, so I just like sign the thing and send it back. And then I look at this contract that he's showing me on his phone. I zoom in. It's tiny print at the very bottom of the contract. Is like, you may need your own table and coverage. Be sure to ask.
It's on you.
Like, why would you not tell somebody that?
Yeah, I just kind of want her to see. Like, I just kind of want to see her punch you right now.
No.
It's
It's cool. But no, I just like, I'm like, I've been to so many cons, I've never run into that. I would never know to ask that. Yeah, weird.
But so like, is that the
I
first
mean,
time that you
doing-
had that where like somebody was like, hey, you have to bring your own table, you have to bring.
Yeah.
I
That's
have
never
it, but
happened.
I do art shows.
Yeah, that's never happened to me.
That's weird.
The thing is,
I
could
have
run a
a
table.
portable
Was this
table
dude-
because
was
I
this guy just an
have to.
asshole or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that.
Was this a
But I
first?
think he was mostly just not all there.
Was this a first year? Or
No.
is this
No.
No, it was
really
the second year.
just a oh, second.
No, I
So-
thought it was like the fourth.
So it's still a young one?
Was it the fourth?
I think it was like the fourth.
So that's actually the
I
thing
don't know.
that of all of the things that we've learned about conventions this year, talking to the different guests that we have, that is probably the biggest revelation to us, is that for the younger conventions, small, medium, large, doesn't matter, for a lot of the younger conventions, like we're talking like less than 6 or 7 years, it is surprising to most of the people that aren't involved on the business side of the conventions how many assholes can actually be involved in the business of conventions. Like,
So many.
like when it comes to the guys that run them, or the guys that book the guests, or just the
would say, like-
the owners of the conventions. We've heard more stories from people that we've met at these conventions, the guests, especially the cosplay guests, that have talked about how many assholes have like run some of the conventions out there. And I mean, that's not to say that every small convention or every convention in general is run by an asshole, but it's surprising how many people get into conventions thinking that it's quick money, that it is easy money, which is the biggie, and will go in saying, I don't need to worry about specifics, I'm just gonna do this, and it is a thing that whatever happens, happens.
Now, granted,
And
we
the
used to have
end result-
only 3 cons out here
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
Now we're having what? Like
There's
almost
enough for us to go to
20,
46.
Like 46, like
Shit,
months.
how many?
Well, like
Like,
you
a
were
lot of
telling
these-
us when we had your in-studio interview here that you guys have actually had it where, like, here in the Metroplex alone, you guys
They're
have
free
been
on
able
the weekend.
yeah, like you've been able to do like a convention almost every single weekend of the year,
And
without missing, sometimes multiples, in just Dallas-Fort Worth, and that's like been within the last 3 to 5 years.
But I don't recommend
and-
going to like
Maybe
90% of them.
No, but like the fact that it's even a thing is shocking compared to like the perception of the general public on conventions, say 10 years ago, with the idea that comic conventions, what? Those things were just for like the hardcore. There's no money in it. There's no whatever. It shouldn't be a thing.
That's the thing. There is money in it.
And there's a lot of money in it. But if you do it right,
There's
only if you do it right.
a version of, there's a good con, and then
Like,
there's a thrown together quick con, which we get several thrown together quick cons, which is vendor based. You might have 1 or 2 kind of half-ass guests. They'll sit there and reach out to the community, and that's when they reach out to all the cosplayers that are local. They look at your feeds and are like, hey, come be a guest at our show, we'll give you a table and all this stuff. Yet it's our first year. And post this lovely little ad up, because we're depending on your marketing to get established as we're taking all these vendors' money.
Free marketing, by
Yeah.
the way.
So, free marketing. So not only are you're kind of gaining a table, but you don't have a set, amount of crowd that's going to come in. You don't have any guaranteed sales, and now your reputation is creating
And
the marketing.
I am not going to name them, but there are 2 small cons that we did at the beginning of the year that I immediately blacklisted, that just recently Charlotte did not do a blog about because she didn't want to get crap again, but she should have.
Yeah,
But
know
I
exactly
understand
what
why
you're
she
talking
didn't.
about.
I think I know
She
what
got
you're talking
cussed out by one of the owners.
Yep.
And then he turned around and was like, you want to guess next time? Do you not remember that was me that you did that with? But on top of that, like, they decided to have this con. They were going to make money off of it from just the vendors. They didn't sell passes for it. It was free to attend. They thought that would be a bigger audience for the vendors and
Because
stuff.
of the
So they'll
venue.
only make money off the vendors.
The venue, that was the big thing.
So because of the,
Ah,
So they're like, okay, we'll make money off the vendors and make it free for the public, which will make more people come, and then we'll hire these big guests, and because we're making money off the vendors, we can afford to pay the guests.
Right.
And then when the vendors didn't pay, they didn't pay the guests, and then they found other reasons why they didn't pay the guests, and they slandered people. That's not okay. If you are under contract with a guest, first of all, like, that's how they make extra money. Like, a lot of those guests, they don't make a lot from those other things that they do. They make money off of their names that they built for themselves off of hard work. So that's just really,
Most
really
of their money
low.
is coming off of the autographs. too.
Yeah.
Like they're
So-
anything extra after that, it's
And they're
going
not
straight
getting
to
a lot
their
of autographs if
owners.
you're not a known convention, so you can't really use that. You're not
So,
helping them.
And those tables usually cost about anywhere from $800 to $1,000 that they're charging the vendors per person. So yeah, no, they can sit there and really.
There are some small cons that are really
Technical
awesome.
difficulties.
But yeah, so some of them are
Still
starting
like-
out right. Some of them are not starting out right. So I
Definitely.
really,
Definitely.
It's
I
just
want
a matter
there
of
to be-
fishing through them and everybody, communicating with each other, going, this is worth it, this isn't. This guy treats you
I
like
think-
a true guest, and this guy is going to half-ass life.
I think it's getting to a point where you should have to get a license to be a convention owner.
I
There should be
actually,
hoops that you have to jump through to be a convention owner.
you can't just
so
slap
that
this together.
You are backed.
Well, I think there should be a way of establishing a trust.
Yeah. Because if you back out of paying the guests for any reason, they still get paid. I think there should be a system there.
There really
Cool.
should be.
Press Facebook
Because it's
Live.
getting a little out of control right now.
It is,
too.
because anybody's like, I can have
And-
like I can call a bunch of people, ask them to be at this place, have the con, and then if it doesn't go well, I can not pay them and just.
Your Facebook,
The
like,
thing
your
is
personal
too,
Facebook
like
says
by
Live.
everybody thinking that they can bum rush and run a convention, everybody's overlapping too. So
Yeah.
not only are you like throwing
So you're
a
splitting the audience.
convention, you're splitting the audience, and now both or all the conventions happening on the same weekend aren't going to do as well.
And you're burning
Because-
people out too.
But you have 3 open weekends. Like,
Okay, so, and that's the other thing that should really be.
Some of them
Point
the
you out
audience is shrinking because they happen too often.
So that's.
it is.
you
And
got
I
two
noticed
things-
as an artist, I'm not selling as much either
Yeah.
because people are burnt out. They've been at cons the last 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Why do they want to come to this one that I finally went
Yeah.
to? Well, they've already spent all their money. They
Yeah.
gotta pay rent now.
and that's two things right there that should really be pointed out to anybody that looks at conventions as a source of fast money. It's great that you see conventions as
If you start a con, you're not making money the first 3 years.
yeah, like it's great that you see conventions
back
as
into
something
con.
that is potentially profitable. That's fantastic. However, it is very worth pointing out that one, as you guys have very clearly said, after a point, once you have enough conventions in a given area, people get burned out. You
Yeah.
cannot have conventions every single weekend and expect the same level of attendance
It
to
loses
every
its
single
finesse.
one of them. And while vendors will always show up because they're hoping for some kind of revenue, it's just not a realistic idea. But the second thing is that when you are trying to start a convention, especially if you are trying to do it in earnest, and that's a big thing because, as we've pointed out, there's a difference between doing it in earnest and doing it because you think it's just a quick money grab. There are specific considerations that you need to put into place, especially in regards to guests, especially in regards to the behavior of attendees, especially in regards to how vendors are treated, and most importantly of all, especially in regards to the stipulations placed upon the vendors. Because if you're an artist, if you're a cosplayer, if you are a media guest, anybody that is paying or supposed to be being paid to attend the convention, the fact is that if you go and you try to make a convention and you cannot hold up your promises to the people that are creating your convention, because these people are the ones that make or break your convention. The word of the artist, the word of the cosplayer, the word of anybody that is who you as an attendee would be going to see at the convention, that's what matters. If they're the ones that get pissed off, if they're the ones that are getting burned by the experience, no matter how much of a cash grab the convention could have
And you
been,
miss it.
it's not going to happen for you.
You miss a
Period.
group of people too, and it's your volunteers.
Yeah.
And truthfully, you could tell almost immediately from after how many cons and everything, you could pretty much go into a con and you could pretty much tell how everything's going to go down by the first 10 minutes. And it's by how happy the volunteers are. Are the
Yeah.
volunteers happy? Are they enjoying themselves? Do they seem in panic? Do they seem over anxious? Or are they relaxed, organized, and happy to help and bring in water and sitting by your table?
And there's
like-
something that I want to touch on. Any big convention, every big convention out there, you're like, oh my god, it's huge, it makes so much money. No, they don't. They do it because they love the industry. Most of them do not make money off of it.
They break
They
even.
may barely break even. And if you're starting a convention, your first 3 years, that is all you're going to do. If you made extra, awesome, you're putting it into next year to cover yourself and your guests.
It's a flip around and
Yeah.
back.
And
so
by
it
the way,
goes
the
into
break
the next
even
year.
for the first 3 years is if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Most early conventions for the first 3 years,
You're lucky
breaking
if you break
even is a fantastic point that you hit. Most early conventions are in debt for the first 3 days.
It's an
Period.
entertainment industry job. So, like, voice actors, they typically don't, like, get a gig and then that's their job. No. They have to do it for, like, 2 or 3 years before they can quit their day job. Any, like, normal actors, they're waitresses. They're doing other normal jobs for the first 2 or 3 years. It's not an instant thing. And these cons that are like, I'm just gonna run cons now. That's not how it works. You're just taking advantage of people. So, yeah, not a fan of that. It's an entertainment industry
This
thing.
all came off in one.
I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
so that's what you changed.
This is what we're getting out of
wait, let's
Trolls is
All
what
right.
you said?
So, what's the thing for 2018 you want to get rid of? Because these 3 basically just took an hour and a half. So
This is
Our
not
bad.
perfectly answering that question, but I really just wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
we are going to the new year.
Well,
Haha.
I wasn't super happy with the WoW expansion, and that kind of was sad.
But second tier comes out in 3 weeks.
Well,
Second
see,
rate
I'm
tier is
just
in 3 weeks.
Classic comes out in summer, so like I'm gonna play that.
No,
Okay.
Raid tier 2 comes out January 22nd.
So that's my answer.
And I've been recruiting, and I'm so excited about it.
least favorite thing about this year.
Least favorite, like I said, like just honestly, like the things that got trendy. And, like I wasn't joking when I said like kids eating Tide Pods. Like the whole idea behind that of like people making stupid decisions, literally just to get
And then
like
using social media to glorify it.
Catch
Like
me
10
outside, girl.
just to literally get 10 minutes of like attention.
yeah.
That is
No, 15. Give them credit.
Yeah, Chewbacca mom
10.
got a booth at the big club.
okay. Well, no, see, hers is a positive thing though. Like it was fun.
It
It was
was,
funny.
but-
I quit.
Was it
It
though?
wasn't.
It was. I think it was generally positive, but
It was
like
a positive thing,
I don't
not
know if
like
it was booth work.
eating Tide Pods or like snorting a condom or like things like that. Like those are things that are very harmful
Like I said-
to you.
Okay,
Darwinism.
so
Snorting
Again,
condoms.
not everyone has.
Next question. Can we snort this one?
so that actually,
Just a condom.
so to be fair, that will actually
Just
lead us
Tide Pods.
into our final question of the night, because this has gone
Where-
way longer than we thought, even through technical difficulties. If you've watched us at all at this point, if YouTube has clearly been the most consistent.
You guys are troopers.
Yeah, thank you. Facebook, if you can see us right now, because we're getting competing answers as to yes or no, you'll see the full video later.
All the way.
That's what she said.
So off. That was my ear.
My bad. Okay, sorry. Okay. Keep talking.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Alright, so
Right in my
final
nose.
question
They're
of the
children,
night
what do you
is.
Who's gonna
Oh
die?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, what's fun?
Make my perfect wife clean up the
Least
food.
favorite trend of
I
2018.
think we know what Kyla's is.
Bird box. Over it.
It came out like 2 weeks ago.
Bird control.
Over it!
Bird control. For everybody.
Least favorite trend is what? I mean, obviously, I'm guessing yours is Tide Pods.
Either Tide Pods or I really didn't like the In My Feelings challenge. That one was
Really?
just so. I
Wait,
couldn't-
what is that?
I couldn't
The
over
thing
it.
where like they would play the Drake song,
Do you love
and then they would like get out of the
The
car.
thing
and
they just
start
showed on
dancing.
TV.
They made me do that at work just because they wanted to post us doing it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh.
We have to do trendy things with cheer and dance people.
Oh.
Like I remember back when people were.
Your face is the same face as mine. I'm just like.
I remember back when like.
Do not focus in on my face. I'll upset it.
Please, for the love of God, focus in.
No, the face literally was just like, no thanks.
I remember when people were like shitting all over the ice
Not
bucket
working
challenge.
there.
Like, that was
Yeah, right?
See, like, that, like, I had no problem with that because
Dude,
it was like raising
I'm
awareness
not
for
trendy enough to
something.
know the trends of the year.
But-
Was Cardi B? Did she come out this year?
Unfortunately, yes.
Let's end that.
He's just like, yeah, I just didn't like that.
I could have done without Predator.
Yeah, my hair wasn't that good.
I
My life could go on.
I'm gonna say
That's my shirt.
Overwatch.
I love that Predator.
And it's not
So
because I
I
don't.
love Predator.
Fortnite.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
It's not because I don't like the game.
What?
Wait.
Overwatch, and it's just because every other person that came to my booth said, "You got any Overwatch cosplays?" I'm good. Every other person that came to my booth.
Oh, so shitty.
So maybe you need
Fortnite.
to make one. Hands down. Yay!
Brigitte cosplay.
I told her too, just Ash's new and exciting.
She finally learned.
Take a closet, cosplay 2/3 of that.
I probably will. But the thing is,
Just with Ash, it's easy. It's usually a girl with three.
I am not going to cosplay something that I have not played and I don't know anything about. I'm going to know things about it.
How the hell have you not played Overwatch?
Hold on, I'm getting to that. I haven't hardly played anything this year because I've been at a con every other weekend and I've done 2 shoots every other weekend. I put out 2 cosplays per month.
But it's been out for 2 years now.
Why are you yelling at us? It's not our fault.
34 cons! And half of them were a waste of my life.
We're gonna throw this goldfish through you.
But now you learned, and it won't happen again. You've learned the good ones.
So-
Now you pick
So this coming year,
the good ones.
I'm going to play some video games.
Yes. Me
Some more
too.
video games. I did play Till Dawn.
Until dawn.
That was only 6 hours of my day.
I'm not gonna lie.
Um,
Thanksgiving, I took 2 days off and did nothing but play video games, and that was like the first time in like a year.
I played
2
Link
years.
on Twitch
It's amazing.
for Thanksgiving, so I did get to play that.
I played video games.
So I did play Link this year. Link.
See, like, I Link.
I'm sorry, Zelda. I
Breath
just
of the
called it
Wild.
after the dude. Nobody does that. Amazing.
Adventures
No,
of
see,
Link.
like,
At least you didn't call him Zelda.
Priorities.
That's okay. A lot of people think that he's
What if
Zelda
Zelda was a
because
girl,
it's the name of
guys?
the game. So yeah, Link Breath of the Wild. I played that.
Legend of Zelda.
Oh, that's right.
No,
She
see,
was
like, I
sick,
feel-
so I gave her my Switch.
I was gonna say, I was
Play
gonna
for a
bring, hey,
couple of hours.
I was gonna bring my Switch and throw Smash up on the
You
TV.
should get Stardew Valley.
I got
What?
40 hours
Stardew
into
Valley.
Smash because I
So
make her
you
drive
can-
lessons now.
You get to inherit a farm.
Well, you gotta
You
unlock
get,
more
like,
characters.
either raising animals or crops.
That
or
sounds like a
raising
terrible
horses.
idea because you see the thing is, with these slice of life games, I don't log off and I don't feed myself.
Yeah,
I feed my character.
Stardew Valley.
And then my helper is gone. And I don't have to go to the
I'm
bathroom
feeding my
because I
Sims, so I
need
should
to
be
go.
fine.
And like when I played Sims, okay, this is a real thing. I had to be taken to a doctor by my mother because I had 32 Sims games. And I would get on Sims and I wouldn't get off for 3 days. And I would have screaming matches with her. And I was only 90 pounds when I was going into high school. And it was because I would not log off the game to feed myself. I would feed the character. And when I had to go to the bathroom, I would take the character to the bathroom. And I would all of a sudden feel like I didn't have to go anymore because I was that just brain, like neurologically in the game.
Oh no.
You need a rage
And I had no life. And then summer would be over, I'd go to school, and everybody would be like, what'd you do all summer? And I would pretend that I went somewhere for the summer because I never left my house.
I got married
no, I
and started a
actually
family
bragged.
and
I bragged about like my levels, and I was like, wow.
You don't have levels in Sims. I mean, you have houses and stories.
Oh,
Yeah.
mother.
Yeah, but she played WoW.
I was a World of Warcraft girl.
See, that has real other people in it.
Wait,
I didn't have real
And
people.
Final
Wait.
Fantasy.
You're a girl?
I just picked up WoW
And-
and
I played
I got
male
five.
night elves. Don't worry.
Who plays a
What?
Name
Undead
Legolas
Warlock
with a Z.
and my Undead Mage. Rape. I was teabagging like poor
See,
souls
I play-
all day long.
Egypt and then teabag.
I did not know there was rape in WoW.
Lots of it.
I was in
Just when they're dead.
It's
You
good
just
for
when
corpse
they're dead.
them, and then you just like teabag
Yep.
them while they're waiting on like resurrecting.
I was kidding.
Yeah, so you just like sit down, stand up, and it looks like the person's just teabagging. It's pretty.
I made somebody rage quit Modern Warfare 2 one time. That was pretty.
I made a kid
Gears
rage
of War.
I made a kid rage quit in Rainbow the other day.
Aww, why are you being such a
Yeah.
She got 12 points.
I did.
Troll
No,
points.
so like I was like, hey, so you go in the room, you're gonna go around the wall, like immediate hard right. He's right there, crouching, like.
Did he turn left?
So he goes in there and like instead of like
Not
hard
bad,
right, like I
sure.
told him to, he did like a 20-degree turn and shot here while the guy was right here. He goes, I'm sorry, I couldn't see him. There was a body blocking him. I was like, let's rewatch this kill cam real quick. And you see here, you turn not enough like I told you to, and there's no body there. So, but I was like, no. I was like,
I love the digital age.
no. I was like, just accept the fact that you were wrong, and we'll all be good. Instead, he just quit out of the game and left. I was like,
Sounds like what I.
Oh, I did. Sucking at some games.
yours was much worse though.
Mine was much worse. I was an awful person back then.
Nah.
So what's next?
I love the games.
So that's
I
what
think
you-
after I
that's
sold
what
one
you
of my
did.
World of Warcraft accounts, I was like logged at like
I have 450 days.
What was the question?
I have.
Did I answer it?
I have 750
Yeah.
hours.
Hey,
to
don't worry about it. I haven't answered like the last 3.
What was your answer?
For what?
What
you would
trend?
end-
What was your least
Yeah.
favorite trend in 2018?
Thank you. The trend that 2018 that you wish you would die.
Or didn't die?
You wish would die.
No.
Why did she smile?
Nobody's gonna watch this. Flag for political.
Yeah. Why did she smile when she was like,
Said trends, not person. There's a difference.
No, really. Bird Box could do without. Like,
Oh yeah,
It's
she did.
been like a week.
nah, I'm
That's
good.
too damn
So
long.
it affected you that much.
That's funny.
Huh.
Fair enough.
Or Predator. Yeah.
Yeah, Predator.
Yeah, I named a couple, see?
I didn't know Predator was that.
More than I did.
Predator was really bad.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't that great.
It was bad.
I didn't know it was like a big.
It was bad.
Did you answer?
But,
No, he asked the question immediately turned to me and said, I guess we know what Kyla's answer is. It's
That's fair. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the trend that I wish would end in 2018.
Fortnite answer.
Oh God, yes. Fortnite in general. Fuck that game.
Half the time my kids are on my
Ugh,
Fortnite class.
I don't know.
Fortnite.
Like there's so much stupid
I watched the
stuff that
streams,
happened
real
this
fun.
year.
So funny.
Mhm.
I haven't got to play that though.
Don't.
No.
I'm so much more interested in playing that one than Overwatch though. But I'm a football. Come on.
Overwatch is way more fun.
Overwatch killed Team Fortress 2.
So okay, if I had to pick something, I'd have to say a combination of Fortnite and Overwatch.
You want both of them to die? Wow.
Yeah, like I just
User generated.
it's just
We can't be friends anymore.
whatever at this point. Well, okay, Fortnite, Overwatch, and PUBG. If all 3 could just move on, I'd be okay with that.
Dude,
Because I mean,
You're just tired of seeing
I
them.
feel like
Like,
PUBG did disappear.
They're fine as
No,
games.
no, the servers are still very much alive.
I know.
because I play every night.
Like as games, they're fine,
I
but
know
as
top
like
10
internet
stream
trends,
No,
I just don't
No.
give a shit.
PUBG.
Like honestly,
PUBG is not nearly as bad as Fortnite.
the fact that all 3 of those games have like taken over every part of the internet.
Let's not look at the general
Like I just
Yeah.
I don't care. Like I don't care.
I found them interesting. I just got tired of being asked to fill them.
Yeah, like I don't care how many tweets Overwatch
I
has
had
done.
100 characters,
I don't
and none
care
of them
that
were cool.
Fortnite overtook
Come on. 3 books
PUBG or whatever as
what?
like the game of the year. I don't
No, you're good.
give a shit. Like I just don't care.
God, you sound more cynical than me right now.
Like I'm cool with the battle royale games. I just don't care about them being a thing on the internet. They're
I
cool,
play PUBG.
fine, but I don't need to hear about them every day.
But
I
nobody
just
likes.
don't.
Nobody likes. PUBG players don't.
I
even
just
wanna
don't like
oh,
the
yeah, you guys
amount
get on PUBG,
that
they
people
just don't play.
Just
Still the
like
top
completely
10 or it's still the
donate
number
like all their
one
time
watched
and
game on
energy
Steam.
and everything
PUBG?
to like they don't have any other fandom
Yeah.
anymore.
Really?
Like oh,
Okay.
Overwatch is popular.
Yeah,
That's
it's
now
like
the only
PUBG,
thing I'm into.
Fortnite,
You can be into
Rainbow,
multiple
wow.
things. Calm down.
Yeah.
Slow your roll.
Right?
Like any games
Yeah.
that you get to the point of like competitiveness where people are spending literally every second of their time in and like it's overtaking the memes, it's overtaking
And all of a sudden everything else is shitty
streaming,
because
it's
they like that.
overtaking everything else. I just don't care about it.
no, it's to keep like rankings and everything.
Yeah.
Like I was sponsored at one point, and literally we lived.
I mean, dude, I
me and
wanna
my
be-
ex-husband,
yeah.
we lived on the games just to keep our
That's
national
the-
rankings because. We could walk away, you take one day off, and your ranking could drop
Yeah,
like
next
20
year.
characters
Like,
in
I
like,
wanna- yeah, like, I wanna-
spots.
That's too much.
I would sit just to hold like my 60 spot nationwide for a match.
Like okay,
But
I
was
know,
on every day, like playing like 12 hours.
like I know it shows my age a little bit, but like growing up as a gamer, the idea that you could have multiple games going on at the same in the same week was as an acceptable thing because there were like 3 games that are popular this week, and so you played all 3 of them, multiplayer or otherwise. That was cool, and the fact that you could even comment on, hey, this game was good this way, this had this was crap, whatever. That's cool. The fact that we've gotten to the point now where individual games have gotten so like all-encompassing through all parts of internet culture that, like you said, if you want to be good at it, if you want to be like sponsored at it, if you want to be considered popular in it, you have to spend every waking second of every day doing that one game and that one game only. That sucks.
You know who also took that kind of same business aspect is Facebook. Now, having your little red dot, having your notifications, having the little red flag and stuff like that, your numbers, you are constantly looking at your social media to see who messaged you, who replied to something, who liked something.
I hate the response rate.
But notice
it gets mad at me if I don't respond to a message. I'm not going to respond to a message that is the answer to a question.
Yeah, they're
but
like, yes,
it's the fact
exactly.
that your
At least it
attention
is not
is
a face
absorbed.
after I say thank you.
We've had
So I give a thumbs up back and then it just continues forever with emojis and hands.
We had a solid response rate for like the first year and a half.
Jazz fingers.
For the first year and a half or so that our channel was a thing on Facebook, and it was great. And then we became friends with you. And we started just communicating with you through Facebook.
You ruined everything!
As a thing. And it became a thing that somehow, because we would have conversations...
Why didn't you tell me?
No. No. Like, it is the dumbest thing ever. But because we would have conversations with you through Facebook, and like, we would be okay. You and I, you and Mike, whatever, would be cool with whatever conversation we had.
I don't talk to her.
Like, we'd be cool with whatever the conversation was. Like, the conversation happened, it ended, we moved on. But the fact that we did not put that final response, we ended the conversation, we commented last, we were the last ones on. That suddenly
That's why
against
sometimes
us.
you do the thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
I thought that was kind of awkward, but I was like, alright.
and it's like,
Sounds good,
why?
buddy. Casey, you then. Thumbs up.
And especially like when you're communicating between pages, like
Winky emoji, gun emoji.
like when we communicate with you through like your page to our
I love
page.
Kendall when he does that to me. He always has an emoji at the end, and I'm like, I'm trying to be the last one, you don't understand.
You
and I'm
son
like,
of a
smiley
bitch,
face.
stop.
It's like,
You're having a bad breakup. You're like, I get the last
I've
word.
never caught on to the fact that you do that, but yeah, you do.
Oh, you're
I didn't realize that he always does get the last word.
like, son of a bitch, let me...
because he has to for his response.
You'll never have the last word ever
And so that's the thing, like
Middle finger emoji.
and like that's the thing. Instagram DMs don't give a shit if you're the last one or not. Facebook cares. Like Facebook, if you're not the last one to comment in a DM back and forth, all of a sudden it counts against you in your page. But if you are, and you are every time, it will actually show up on your page as, oh, they have this response rate. And you're going, okay, but the
And
people
you
we
feel
did-
it, and you feel detect like
My
my
typical
Yeah, like-
response is a week.
yeah, like,
Because of a couple of creepos. And I still haven't opened their messages, so my typical reply is still about a week.
Mine's
Yeah,
still a
like,
week because half of them are
4
just,
days.
hi. I'm not going to respond to hi.
Hey, sorry, I don't have
I don't
time
have
to
time for a
have a
conversation.
conversation all fucking day. I have work to get done.
yeah, like, okay, so,
I work
Like
3 jobs.
this, like
I'm
this
not-
What are
guy.
you doing? I'm working.
like, deep dark secret, okay?
Brett will send me like a text that's 4 texts long, and I'm like, I'm not gonna get to this for like a couple of hours.
Scanning, anything important, anything
Yeah.
important,
What
okay,
happened
go
right now?
So, okay, so
Yeah.
deep dark
Yeah.
secret
Yeah.
DMs on Facebook, no matter
It's like
what
really
you
nice
think
of
when
him,
you
like,
DM
it's
your
equivalent to
favorite
4 long
page
text
or
messages, but it's
creator
like 12
on
instead, so I
Facebook,
broke them up.
and this is important for you to understand.
Let me see.
If you DM them and they respond to you, that is a really lucky thing, because the reality is most of us that have pages on Facebook Our DMs are primarily used back and forth between other creators, our friends that
Or
are
if
other
you want to buy
creators.
prints. If your message is,
That's a thing.
hey, I love your red Sonia, I want to buy some prints. I'm going to be like, alright, what size? What's going on? You know,
Exactly.
that's fine. But if your message is hi, I'm like, first of all, are we well acquainted? Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the reality is,
I've seen her reply to highs.
If I don't reply to a hi, don't call me. And don't call me 4 times in a row. I'm still not gonna pick up.
Like we don't like
I've
while
had
you
Facebook
can
Messenger.
So
while you
awkward.
can DM your favorite creators on
Yeah.
Facebook
I know.
because that
I'm a
is a
business.
function that exists.
Oh.
The reality is most
I have
of
to
our
check.
page DMs exist
Gotcha.
between us and other pages of people that we've worked with, of friends, of whatever. And while we may respond to viewers, while we may respond to fans every now and then, the fact of the matter is 90% of the time, if you don't see a response rate on our pages, it's because we use our pages to communicate as normal people.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It sucks, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun stuff.
I always
If you
respond to
want to
questions.
respond
I
to
always
you, our
respond to
viewers
interests,
will
but-
usually respond on the feed, on the wall, on whatever, on the public side of things.
Yep.
Also, if you're single and you're on a dating website, don't say hi there either. It's retarded.
Don't ever say hi to somebody. I'm sorry. That's not a message.
That
Why?
sounds super
Why?
antisocial.
No,
Don't ever say hi.
no. That's not what I mean.
Don't ever
Through
just say
technology,
hi.
don't just say hi. Because if you're contacting them, you're starting the conversation, so you should be providing the conversation. So if there is something that you really want to talk to them about, put it in the first message, so that they know where this is going. Because if I don't know where it's going, I'm not going to respond. Because you can say hi, and I can be like, yo, what's up? And then it could be like, dick
Sometimes
pic.
you'll just be like, hey.
And I opened that door.
Hi.
And I have to eat my own
Facebook, Instagram, Tinder, Snapchat, doesn't matter. That applies to all of them. It's
Yeah.
true.
Don't just say hi.
Tinder.
I don't respond to hi on any platform.
Well, same like, just. And
Don't ever send a dick pic, ever.
One of these things is
Hey,
not like
hey,
others.
some people ask for dick pics.
You know?
If she
Oh,
asks
road
for
rage.
it, make sure it's her.
So, it's almost 11. Somehow we've gone like a bit past the time we originally intended. I don't think we have time for Cards Against Humanity tonight.
No, I need to go.
That will be a different stream. But for now, we
Just
have.
remember to don't cross them.
I can close with a funny story.
We'll close with
No,
a funny
go
story.
fast.
Really quickly,
I'll be really fast.
if you've endured with us through all the technological difficulties that have randomly popped up,
Get better with technology, Brad.
sorry.
Attention.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been fantastic. If you haven't and you literally just found us, or you're finding us in
Other things to get rid of in 2018.
or you are finding us in the repeat video after the fact. Thank you so much for finding this. Thank you so much for watching
There
this.
is one person, but
You've
you're
been
not in.
amazing, and the fact that you have even watched through
Not
all
yet.
of this random crap that we have called a New Year's Eve conversation. You are awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you so much. So we will end on Erica's story.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna share. So we got to IkiCon.
By the way,
and
you gotta stretch this out for about an hour and 15 minutes.
now.
Actually,
no.
you got 5 minutes. Go.
I have 5 minutes to go. All right.
Make it
First night at IkiCon. We got there. We got invited to this room party. I was super stoked because I heard a certain somebody was gonna be there, and so we got there, and I was drinking, and we were playing this like really cool VR game, and then the fire alarm got pulled.
As it does in middle school. Oh,
So
wait.
like. People weren't freaking out, but they were moving really fast just because we were at a party. So I guess they were just like, woo, whatever, con life. And we were just going down the stairs really fast, and I was in this onesie. And these big,
Sweet onesie.
it was a really sweet, it was a Sonic the Hedgehog onesie, it was pretty sweet.
Was it a loincloth
And-
onesie?
No,
Oh,
it's
okay.
a Sonic the Hedgehog
Okay.
onesie. Does Sonic
Scarlet.
ever wear his Scarlet flap? Anywho,
Yes,
Um,
unfortunately.
so there were these giant
All the
Rick and
time.
Morty slippers that I was wearing, and I'm going down the stairs, and I guess I stepped like on the back of the slipper, and there was no traction on the
Oh,
bottom of my
no.
foot or on the stair, so it just like squished and like whoop flew out of between there. So all I know is Rick flew up in the air, and my dumb tipsy self, I was like, Rick! So I caught Rick and fell down the stairs. And then I had both my slippers, and I was like, my slippers are fine, yeah.
My legs aren't.
And I went out the door, and I put my slippers back on, and we're walking back in, and I'm like, oh my god, my back hurts so bad. And he goes, you just fell down the stairs. And I was like, I guess I did slide down the stairs.
No, not slide.
So I rescued Rick, and not myself. And that was my story.
It was weird seeing. It was weird going out there in the middle of the night and seeing everybody's sleepwear, because a lot of them were like, it's the first night of the con. Nothing's really started. Some dude like came out there with. He was a very good-looking dude. Very good-looking dude. He came out there with 2 girls, and he was wearing this tiny pink like kimono.
That's unfair.
And he was like
just walk up, it's like, I want to shake your hand.
I mean,
sir.
this weekend it was like whatever, 35 degrees.
He was
and
just like, I was in the shower.
He's like, this is silk. We need to go back.
This is not doing anything to keep me warm.
Never two girls have already left.
Yeah. Well, there goes my Friday night.
Freakage is a thing, dear Lord, no.
Yeah.
He was showing ever
I'm
so
dealing with
slightly
that.
less than a Scarlet loincloth.
No. I'm sure it was a lot less than a fucking Scarlet loincloth. Oh, I'm sorry. Fire Engine Red Scarlet loincloth.
That was pretty great.
To be fair, it's not hard to beat Scarlet loincloth in terms of fabric.
It is when you're the one wearing it.
On that note, if you've actually survived to the end of this video,
You're better than all of us.
thank you, every single one of you. You've been awesome. 2018 has been a mix of ups and downs. For our channel, Dallas Geek, it has been a lot of ups. For the friends that have joined us along the way, it has been fantastic.
And if it wasn't, we don't care.
Erica, you have been amazing. The guest hosting that you have done has been wonderful. Will not hold your weird music videos that you did several years ago against you.
Which we found, by the way.
I showed him.
No!
Oh no!
No!
I need to see
I knew
it.
you guys knew the interwebs. I never should have told you.
It was amazing.
No!
Thank you for telling
I
us
haven't
about
even
that.
seen
It
that.
was so much better than a red loincloth.
And Lars, seriously, your art is amazing.
Now we're going to
whether-
find your music videos.
Whether we're talking about
For
your
years.
body art, the prosthetics that you have endured, the get up for, or
Send you the pic of red
especially
loincloth
the
so
stuff
that
that you
it'll-
made,
it'll catch
whether
Okay.
the little ornaments
No.
or the giant props that you've made for different productions. They've been incredible.
I'm gonna go into the new year with this
Seriously,
video.
it's been wonderful working with both of y'all.
Which actually
Chris,
Also, Chris is here.
you surviving. So, little known fact: if you date a cosplayer, it is not the easiest job in the world.
How the hell would you know?
Chris, you
I
are a
dated a
champ.
lot.
You are a champ
what-
for surviving
what-
every single con you've gone to.
What was it you said?
as
It's one,
her.
what was it you said? It's one incestuous big.
I think our worst moments was me trying to put on eyelashes. The whole year. I quit doing that. I got really good mascara.
Chris, you've been
Better on
amazing.
your last year anyways.
Erica, we
It was hard
love
relationship.
you, but Chris, you've been
Every morning when
amazing.
you try to talk to me about putting eyelashes on. I'm like,
Seriously.
You've been a lot of fun. Her,
Lars,
Complicated.
guys, seriously, if you haven't checked out her art,
That's
and you've actually made it this far in the video through 2 dead lights now, I will say, check out her website, check out everything she has
Just
to
waiting for the power
offer.
to
She's
go out at this
amazing.
point.
Check out Erica, Scarlet Muse Cosplay.
Yes,
She's
yeah.
fantastic. And of course, Kyla, the help that you've given us with the conventions you've attended.
What
with
help?
us. The help that she's given me
What help?
with the convention she's attended.
Well, when Mike
and everything
wasn't
else. You have been awesome.
Against my
Thank
will.
you. Mike. Anyway.
Dick.
No, see, I help him
Loin
take
cons
pictures. I help
buddies
him
forever.
grab people.
Oh.
I never changed.
So, Guys, thank you so much. If you're even watching this, you've been amazing. 2018 has been 2018 has been
It's really just
an adventure, to say the least. 2019 is bound to be fantastic by comparison. So, for each and every one of you that have been watching Dallas Geek this year, thank you so much.
Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for talking to us.
Especially for everybody that has joined this channel. And there's been a lot of you this year. You guys have been great. Thank you for supporting our friends. And into next year.
Where are we going?
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye guys. Everybody be safe tonight.
Bye bye.